Without being live streamed.
Mics on?
Just 1 second.
Should I put the mics on?
Hi, good morning. Ms. Matias, we are live, we are recording, we're streaming. You may proceed with this morning's public executive review session.
Please make sure your microphones are on.
No.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals review session for January 13th, 2026. Please note for the record, Chair Chanda is absent and Commissioner Otley Brown is attending remotely. Yeah. The first item up is the case we deferred from yesterday, a special order calendar new case, 75160BZ, 105 New Dorp Lane, Staten Island.
What number is that on the calendar?
Number 10.
Just 1 moment. This is an extension of term of a previously approved granted variance, which permitted the operation of a gasoline station. The applicant requests an amendment and extension of term of a previously granted variance that allowed the erection and maintenance of a gasoline service station, lubricatorium, car washing, minor motor vehicle repair with hand tools only, sale of accessories, parking of more than 5 cars, and an illuminated freestanding sign at the premise. This application also requests the extension of time to obtain a certificate of occupancy. In addition, the owners are proposing to modify the landscaping along Cloister Place to legalize the height of the portion that was built pursuant to the most recent BSA approval and legalize some minor changes. Specifically, the garage door and on the interior of the building, the connection between the previously existing portion of the building and the new portion that modified with the width of the door facing Cloister Place. Community board submitted waiver recommendation. I did not see continuous use on this.
No.
They don't need continuous use because they filed.
Yeah, the
9.6.
they filed early.
Right. I'd like to see more landscaping or at least a better detail of it. And I also would like to see a photo of the ornamental plant. Commissioner Otley Brown,
I don't have any additional comments on this.
Commissioner Sheto.
Thank you. I also didn't see the continuous use, but since it's not needed, I'm not gonna mention that. I believe we need more photos for the perimeter. I believe the photos submitted are not enough, so we need some more photos for the perimeter of the site. In Google photo street view, I saw some cars, I believe, without plates. So I'm not sure if there is any car sale activity on site taking place. Also, I didn't see them addressing the violations in the statement. And I have a question regarding the hour of operations. Thank you.
Hours of operations.
Commissioner Yoon.
Thank you. I had a question. If the applicant could discuss a bit about why the most recent CO is from 2002. I also don't think there's enough photos. It definitely doesn't show enough of the interior or an overview of the entire site. There is no ability to see the new handicap parking space or how the restriping was done or what the condition is. And then to clarify, there was a condition that the landscaped area along Cloister Place was maintained with grass, and that I think that was from the original grant, and now that's been changed to gravel and it's pretty spare in there. So I wanted to understand specifically, what are you seeking to change with the landscaping, and was there ever a change or alteration to that original condition that the plot be maintained with grass?
Can I add something? I forgot to
Sure.
mention.
Commissioner Sheto.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture submitted, 9/22/2025, and I'm looking at page 4. And if you look at this photo there, There is two properties next door. One of them is apparently residential. And if you look at the area that was pictured, the landscape area, it has gravel or crushed stones on it. I have a suggestion for the, like the welfare of the public. The gravel is called water attractive material, meaning that when it rains, it retains water, it attracts water. And it's not healthy to attract water in this area because it's adjacent to a residential property. So I would suggest that they put some maybe barrier below the gravel to make sure that it's gonna drain somewhere. But I wouldn't suggest or recommend leaving that area with gravel like that. Managing the drainage on site, especially this is not a small area, it's a considerable area. So if we get heavy rain and water got stuck there, it could cause a problem for the two adjacent properties. Thank you.
And your solution would be,
I hate to say pave it, but if they can pave it, that would be ideal, like
permeable
pave it
surface?
and,
Like a
Like-
permeable surface, if we know that is the term they use.
I'm sorry?
Permeable surface or something, it's not a term.
It depends on the material below the permeable surface. If you have a permeable soil and you put gravel is the most permeable material ever. If they put permeable concrete or asphalt and the soil underneath is not well draining material, it's gonna retain the water and then discharge it to the nearest, whatever, probably to the residential,
Yeah,
maybe to the basement of that, maybe to the other adjacent, and it could hit the foundation and cause settlement issues, like over time.
Mhm.
So again, I would say it's up to their engineer, but I wouldn't leave it with gravel like that. Unless they make sure that if whatever like rain comes, it's gonna be draining, percolating down into the soil underneath. If this is the case, I would be fine with it.
Yeah, perhaps they can confirm what's underneath the gravel so that we can establish that. Because if they do pave it, then they will need to then install below grade drainage to handle the stormwater, which will then go into the stormwater system, which in some ways is less ideal than just letting it, if it is permeable, permeate the soil and not burden the,
Or maybe instead of that below grade, which is costly, I believe they could provide some elevation differences, giving a chance to water to flow over that pavement or concrete, and then take it to the nearest disposal, maybe a floor drain or a catch basin or something.
but that would all have to be internal to their site.
Yes, correct, yeah.
Yeah. So that would require at some point some site drainage.
Yes, and I was about to say, they have to manage the site drainage in such a way not to impact the adjacent properties. And in the way it's shown, unless the material right below gravel is well draining material, I believe time by time it's gonna become a problem for the two adjacent properties.
I have a question. Do we know what this backyard is being used for?
I think it was, the original intent was just to keep it as a grassy planted area.
So then why do we have to talk about expensive drainage equipment and have a conversation that's going to cost the applicant thousands of dollars if all that it's being used for is just basically to sit there as a buffer? Wouldn't landscaping just accomplish that?
We
And
didn't.
leave the gravel in place and let's call it a day? I mean, I don't think we should be gouging applicants when it's not like they're storing cars where oil is dripping and draining into the ground.
well, I think Commissioner Otley Brown, I appreciate your comment there. If this is in fact not going to be used, landscaping this property will probably be the best option. And the cheapest option. I hope to hear from the applicant as to what, if that option is viable for him.
And I didn't talk about any drainage equipment, actually. I talked about either making sure that whatever, like, water is gonna come from drain is gonna be draining, percolating in a reasonable rate to prevent flowing to adjacent property, or put some asphalt or even put one of the solutions could be landscaping, and landscaping is gonna have grass, and the grass is gonna hold whatever moisture is gonna come from the rain and prevent it from seeping to adjacent property. But I didn't talk about drainage equipment at all.
So do we move on to the next one?
Please move on.
The applicant needs to state how long they need to obtain a CO and request it, as well as what term they're seeking.
We can move on.
Zoning calendar, continued hearing items, item number 15, 2024-27 BZ and 55-12 BC, 762 White Avenue, Brooklyn.
Thank you, Ms. Matias. On this case, this is a variance to permit the enlargement of an existing use. We last heard this case on October 21st of 2025. They now have made a cellar trash storage room that has a dump waiter for easy movement up and down. I think we still have air quality and noise that are still open, and there's also and shadow is still open as well. Tracy, do we have Parks Department shadows or FDNY?
No, we still have open, we're waiting for a response from the applicant, so.
And school safety is still open.
Yes, I don't know if, Jella, do you want to give an update on school safety? Or they have made a response and we sent it to school safety.
Thank you, Tracy. Well, so the trash calculation here has quadrupled. I would recommend a trash compactor. And one of my recommendations is that would be that the trash bins can only be brought out the day of trash pickup and immediately brought back in. And I think we have a double check the place of assembly as well.
Jella Sanders, Ms. Prince Sanders.
Pregna?
Just to clarify in the school safety, yes, we did send the applicant's response to school safety. School safety had been appreciative of the applicant's work towards improving the trash management on the site. But then they had asked for the calculation on the how much storage is needed per student to be updated from, I think, 0.5 pound to 2 pounds, which the applicant did, and we sent that. And then we had some follow-up with them and asked if the storage bins could be stored on the sidewalk. And they said a revocable consent wouldn't be needed, but we're still waiting to hear if they could be stored there. In terms of the violation, FDNY actually is looking into it a little bit because of the public assembly space. It's not clear if there's an existing public assembly space on the 5th floor. So they are looking into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pregna. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I have no additional questions.
Commissioner Sheta?
Same here. Thank you.
Commissioner Yoon?
Thank you. I think we talked about this at the last hearing. The bin storage on the right of way as a permanent solution is problematic, especially with the size of these bins. I think that revocable consent, as far as I understand, DSNY allows storage of bins outside of your property up to 3 feet from the property line. And I think a typical, I don't know how many gallon container, that would probably fit within the 3 feet, but these bins, these tilt carts are much bigger than that. And so I think we were hoping to get some response from the applicant about whether the bin storage on the right of way was permitted. And I don't think that was part of this submission. So the dumbwaiter helps with the concern I had last time about lugging trash back and forth and having this kind of arduous path to get the trash out. But we also need to store the bins. So I'd like for the applicant to talk about how we can get the bins inside or I think there's an alternative on DOT's website for revocable consent. If you do need to store your trash bins outside, you have to build a rodent-proof permanent structure and file for revocable consent. Unless I'm missing some other statute. And then I had a question about where this public assembly space is on the 5th floor, but as Jella discussed, the fire department seems to be looking into clarifying their violation. If the applicant, actually the applicant, I think, can speak to this because the applicant responded saying they have filed a PA application with DOB, so they must know where this violation was occurring. So maybe they can talk about that at the hearing.
Anything else?
Now we can move on.
Move on. Item number 16, 2024-38BZ, 90-17, 179th Street, Queens.
Okay, this is a variance. I have received some notes from the chair, Shonda, on the issue of uniqueness. The site is 16 feet, 0.5 inches wide pursuant to R41. The AOR development floor plan would be 11.6 inches. Uniqueness, majority of the lots within the study are over 20 feet wide, and all vacant sites are larger than the subject sites, including the width of the lot. There are 3 budding lots that are similar width, and their site are built with attached homes. With regard to neighborhood context, the side yard study shows that there are few sites with complying side yards. The narrow lots in the study area do not provide side yards, especially the similar sized lots with 16.5 lot width. Minimal. The ask is minimal. Of the 2 dwelling units proposed, the ground floor unit seems to be a 1-bedroom with a generous walk-in closet pantry, which prevents it from being a legal bedroom. Well, actually, what prevents it from being a legal bedroom? Note to be added to the plans that BSA is not determining the unit configuration. Add a note to the seller plan saying no sleeping accommodation shall be permitted. My notes, in addition to that, I'm requesting the applicant elaborate on common ownership with the adjacent lot. And if there is, how is that not a self-created hardship? I have nothing further, so Commissioner Otley Brown.
So since the previous hearing and because of the city of Yes, this is now a 2-family home. And I feel that the decision to make this a 2-family home results in a suboptimal layout for both apartments because the upper apartment has like no operable windows in one of the bedrooms and in the living room, and they're depending on skylights for light and air. The first floor apartment has only 1 bedroom, and although you cannot use the cellar rec room as a bedroom, I feel like that's exactly what they're going to do because other than that, I think it is not very marketable as a 2-family home. So I would prefer to see a layout with a 3-bedroom home, with a 3-bedroom, 1-family home, perhaps with 1 bedroom on the first floor in the rear with a real window and 2 bedrooms upstairs, 1 in the front and 1 in the rear. I think it would be a more workable layout.
Anything further, Commissioner?
No.
Commissioner Sheta?
Thank you. I have a comment from the last hearing regarding the FEMA map. I indicated that they only submitted an index map in the last submission. In this submission, I haven't seen a FEMA map submitted or even a response that it doesn't exist. So please respond to that. Thank you.
Commissioner Yoon?
Thank you. I actually thought that the applicant didn't respond to much of what we discussed a year ago at the first hearing. And there were some pretty specific questions about the expanding upon the D finding and the common ownership period that occurred in 2004, I believe.
You did.
And, oh, and then there were some comments about limiting the uniqueness study to 400 feet. Maybe that isn't so necessary because it is true that there aren't any other sites quite like this one in this much larger area, but typically we ask for 400 feet, and that was expressly asked at the last hearing. And then there was a question to demonstrate how the proposed varies from what was previously on this site and to prove that an attached house would not be unique in this neighborhood. And I guess I just didn't see that it was very responsive to the comments that we had last time. And then I didn't even realize, but Commissioner Otley Brown picked up on some very important notes. That bedrooms and living rooms without windows are not considered habitable rooms, at least according to the building code. I'm not sure if there's some exception for a single or two-family home, but I'm not aware of them. Pretty sure you need to have access to light and air from an operable window or alternate means of ventilation. So the applicant will need to respond to that.
I thank you, Commissioner Egan. I believe that we did have the conversation of uniqueness with regard to common ownership at the last hearing. I didn't see it in the new statement of facts. I thought they were going to re-represent that, but I think Chair Shanda stated that even with the adjacent lot, they still would have had a hardship in being unable to build.
That is, I do have something like that in my notes, but I do have a lot of questions about whether or not they were going to respond to the overall D finding in response to the discussion we had at the last hearing.
Thank you, Commissioner Egan.
Move on.
Please.
Item number 17, 2025-06 BZ, 8802 Northern Boulevard, Queens.
This is a special permit, 73311, to permit an accessory drive-through facility. I have notes from the chair that I'll read out first. The first is that the applicant needs to respond to the community board's condition. Additional bollards have been provided on the eastern side. However, some of the comments have not been responded to, such as add a note to the plan under no circumstances shall the motor vehicles in queue be allowed to spill back onto Northern Boulevard, including blockage of the sidewalk because of the operational plan and safety concerns. If the conditions fail to be met during operation of the facility, BSA in consultation with NYC DOT and DOB will take action to revoke approvals for the necessary window and or curb cut. Also, they add a stop bar aligned with the building wall fronting Northern Boulevard to minimize pedestrian conflict. Applicant has not confirmed if the restriping has been done or will be done. Was a maneuverability plan provided? Has anyone seen one?
I have to look. I'll look.
Just got their plans.
No.
Well, the plan
No.
that the chair had downloaded was not signed and sealed, was not a signed and sealed set. She's not sure if it's a glitch on her end or if that's the what everyone else has received.
We have a signed and sealed set, but there's no maneuverability.
Okay, so we do have a signed and sealed set, but there is no maneuverability plan. On the issue of noise, applicant states that acceptable general external sound exposure for residents is a maximum of 65 dB from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and 55 dB from 10 p.m. to 7 p.m. The exposure of this neighbor would be less. Per plan, sound levels from the menu board will reduce from 58 at residential lot line to 54 dBA. The proposed hours of operation are 10:30 a.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days a week. At the last hearing, applicant was asked to clarify the hours of the operation for the drive-through. It has not been clarified. Please note prior board had approved a reduced hours of operation for the drive-through where it would be closed from 9 a.m. to 7 a.m. Monday through Thursday and 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Prior board condition would be in keeping with this community board condition. Need clarification, proposed hours of operations, drive-through, or re-drive-through as may require additional measures of sound attenuation along the residential rear lot line, including but not limited to a sound attenuation high wall instead of an existing barrier chain link fence with noise attenuation above a 4-high wall. Also need to add good neighbor signs, not just for the drive-through, but also along parking spaces. And no left turn sign from the drive-through exit to address the community board's comment. Lighting, a separate lighting plan has been provided. It should be part of the plan set. Signage, the sign table on sheet 100 is not corresponding with the elevation. Tag all signs on elevation with sign ID. Number of sign as shown on elevation is not matching up with the table. Per elevation number 4, on sheet 200, sign ID, C and D are facing 88th Street and not Northern Boulevard. Review and revise the plan and signage analysis. Give me a moment to see if I won't be redundant. I guess the only thing I would add is that the photos show that they removed the giant storage pod that was used in the parking lot, and they removed posters from the windows that exceeded the amount of signage they were allowed to have. I believe everything else, with regard to lumen spread and everything else, was already addressed by the chair. I have nothing further. Commissioner Ollie Brown.
I have no additional comments on this. They got rid of the pod storage container, and that was my one question.
Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you. I second the comments that you indicated, Vice Chair. The only thing left I have is a comment that's from the previous hearing. There was a typo in the statement of facts talking about an LSC, a letter of substantial compliance. It should be LNO, letter of no objection. So I directed them to fix that last hearing, but I haven't seen it fixed. Thank you.
Commissioner Yoon.
Okay, I have a few comments. So the first thing is, at the last hearing, we talked about the size of the cars that should be used for waiting in for these 10 reservoir spaces. And in the end, and this may have been, I believe it was subsequent to the hearing on this case, but we determined that we would use a typical parking stall size as the minimum size that you would need to use for all cars, including SUVs, including sedans. And that's 18 feet long. Typical per zoning, it's 8.5 by 18 feet long. At this hearing, though, the chair said, use SUV-sized parking or reservoir spaces. And I think what the applicant did is interesting because they decided to use a mix of different car lengths to show their compliance here. And as a standard, and this was not clear maybe at the time, but we definitely as a board asked for larger spaces. We are going to look for, at least as far as I understand, look for 18-foot long spaces at a minimum. We have been told on the record on different cases by traffic engineers and drive-through engineers that sometimes they use even 21 or 22. So 18 is on the conservative side or on the smaller side of things. So the applicant does need to go back and draw this with 18-foot dimensions showing that these spaces work. And if they don't, there's enough room on this site, I think, to look at how they could work. But that's what I think needs step one here. The signage analysis is still missing the Love That Chicken graphic, which the chair raised at the last hearing. Please add a dimension from the order station to the rear property line so we can see what that distance is. Add dimensions to the sound plan and section. So part of the chair's comments referenced the existing fence and whether we should look into further sound attenuation. So here, there's no dimensions at all. And then we go to the section. And if this is to scale, then it does seem like a compelling reason to increase the height of what is currently a 7-foot tall fence to an 8 or 10-foot tall fence that is sound attenuating, given that this is a residential home with windows on this wall.
I'm sorry, what is the distance between the menu board and the fence again?
Between the menu board and the fence is the dimension, let's see. It's 11.67,
Okay.
which then also, I'm not sure if that's, well, 11.67. This is from the curb to curb. So, I don't know what the dimension is from the menu board to the rear property line, and that was one of my comments. But I think that this chain link fence with slats is not sound attenuating, so regardless, we need to improve the fence to actually sound attenuate from this residential building, and I think we should increase the height. The operator, I believe, signed a letter to the community board and submitted it here too, that said that there would be no amplified sound after 9 p.m. So I think the applicant should confirm if that means that there is no intention to operate this drive-through after 9 p.m. And then the last question I had is, or comment is to add crosswalk striping for the accessible route to the store. So right now, the accessible route appears to be crossing across the drive-through reservoir lane. Those are my comments.
We can,
Next case.
I just have 2 comments. Sorry. For the type 2 form, they need to check yes for part 1, question 5. And for the statement of facts, air quality, finding, they should add a statement about the existing traffic volumes in comparison to secret thresholds. That's what we usually like to have in the statement of facts, even for existing. Thank you.
Ms. Matias?
Zoning calendar, new cases, item number 618, 2025-29BZ, 350 Troy Avenue, Brooklyn.
Thank you, Ms. Matias. The chair has left a good deal of notes on this case. I'm going to read them now. They are on the arrival and departure. It is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. school hours other than special event days. 7th to 12th grade, Monday, Friday, 8:30 a.m., Sunday, 9:15 to 9:30 a.m. arrive, and 3:45, 4 p.m., Monday through Thursday. 12:15 Friday to 2:15 Sunday departure. Grades 1 through 6, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 8:45 a.m. arrival, Sunday 9:45 to 10 a.m., 3:45 p.m. Monday through Thursday. 11. Sorry, one moment. Okay, they need to provide a modal split. What percentage come private vehicles and at what time? They need to provide a detailed operation plan for a full build out. They need to check the math on the second table on page 19 for arrival and departures on the statements of facts. They need to indicate the area of the waiver granted by the previous board, both in existing and proposed. Additional area of waiver and proposed as shown is not legible in plan, elevations and sections. Rendering in proposed shows fence built in parapet wall, revise it. The statements of fact and findings in the intro discusses arrival and departure. It is not tied to a finding. It should be part of the statement of facts. And with regard to the findings, uniqueness, being that this is a school, it's entitled to a deference. Programmatic needs statement is thorough. Neighborhood character. Until the proposed future plan is implemented, we cannot assume it unless applicant enters into an agreement and records it. Statement of facts states that the parking signs and rules NYC 311 school bus parking regulations, school buses are permitted to park. Need clarification. Is the sign no standing or zone or no standing school zone? Is that for the 24/7 period or not? Typically, no standing for school zones has a time span from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Documents do not state the existing and proposed. If change is proposed, hours of no parking to school zone. Opposition letters include photos that show that one of the school buses is parked after school operating hours and possibly not in the area designated for school bus zone. Also, statement of fact states that there would be a designated passenger drop-off area along the school frontage. It is not clear from the narrative if the existing drop-off zone is adequate for both bus and private vehicles during drop-off and pickup. Need a detailed drop-off pickup operation plan. Also, trash collection pickup operation plan, and if it will conflict with curbside drop-off and pickup. Is this existing building contest? Most of the buildings are lot line buildings. They are low-rise with multifamily buildings, 6 stories. The subject site is abutted by a multifamily apartment building along Carroll Street. There is a narrow 20-foot vacant lot, number 43, which is an easement alleyway building abutting the site along Troy Avenue. Clarify that the finding and confirm it if the proposed enlargement will impair the appropriate use of the adjacent lot. I am assuming not. Self-created, D finding required has been modified for nonprofit organizations. Refer to the requirement in the website. The applicant shall demonstrate that the waiver is request to satisfy the needs described in his programmatic needs statement. Submit in support of 70R 7221A would serve only the subject's non-for-profit organization and its stated needs. A common ownership report is not required. Revise the finding statement accordingly. Minimal. Need the applicant to clarify the drop-off pickup operation and confirm where the garbage pickup area is and if it will conflict with the bus pickup drop-off zones. FDNY, letter of objection, read the roof plan. A revised roof plan has been submitted. Has FDNY reviewed it? Ms. Benecki, has FDNY reviewed the revised roof plan?
Jill's hand is up. Ms. Prender's hand is up.
Ms. Pregner.
Yes, they've reviewed it and issued a letter of no objection
Thank you.
on January 7th.
Okay. Also, are any gym equipment permitted in the roof play area that may impede FDNY access routes? Those. In addition to that, to the chair's notes, I do believe that they do need to further develop the programmatic needs to show how such an increase an increase will not disturb any finding. Do they still have do we still have outstanding violations with HVAC?
My understanding was they're going to move it with this application if it gets approved.
Okay,
But they can respond.
thank you, Ms. Pregner. Commissioner Otley Brown?
So I just want to start with a general summary of this case because it is a first hearing. It's an initial hearing. So this is a lot area of 10,000 square feet on which there's an existing school building, 3 stories, 30,000 square feet, FAR 3.0. And the existing gross square footage per student is 61.1. The school body currently is 491 students that range from infant girls through 12th grade girls, and they're actually proposing to add 3 stories and an additional 30,000 square feet to this property so that it would support 851 students from infant through 12th grade. The student breakdown is 539 who are going to be in preschool, and then 312 that are going to be in grades 1 through 12. Their statement talks about their uniqueness being based on programmatic needs, that it's the goal of a religious school is twofold, both preserving the cultural and religious aspects of educating its students while providing them with the fundamental skills and education needed to succeed in the secular world. So their argument here is that their existing school is overcrowded because of recent growth, and in order to provide enough classrooms, they have had to convert all of their auxiliary spaces into classrooms, and that's resulted in an inadequate curriculum because they just don't have the space to provide all of the additional classrooms that they want to, the additional classes that they want to have. The issue here in terms of character is that the neighborhood is residential and low rise and low density. However, there are some 4 to 6 story multiple dwellings on the corner. The school will be larger than the residential homes and buildings. However, their argument is that it is on par with other civic institutions in the area. They do talk about arrival and dismissal, and basically they're saying that they have security on site that will monitor arrival and dismissal times. They have administrators that will communicate via walkie-talkie. Their bus students will be escorted in and out of the school by staff. Their preschoolers are walkers that will be met by their caregivers in the lobby and dropped off by caregivers in the morning. This school will be 6 stories and will have a rooftop play area, but they're saying that they only want it to be used during daylight hours and they won't provide artificial lighting. Their 6th floor has a lunchroom. They have a refrigerated trash room that will serve that lunchroom. The proposal will result in a gross square footage per student of 72.3 square feet. And there are 4 other schools in the area with gross square footage per student ranging from 149 gross square feet to 821 gross square feet per student. So they're under the range of the surrounding schools. There's a question that they're addressing, which is, can you lower the bulk by putting more programmatic spaces in the cellar? And their answer to that is that right now they have a partial cellar that is only used for utilities and an elevator machine room. And they feel that they can't fully build out the cellar because it would be costly, because you have to build more supports to hold the building up during the excavation. And it would also be disruptive to the current students because they wouldn't be able to use a lot of the spaces while construction's going on. So that's just a basic summary based on my reading of the application, but I think it would actually set the stage for discussion amongst the commissioners, which is why I just presented that information. One of my questions, and I really only have a few questions because while it does seem like it is a large increase in density, based on the amount of students that are actually proposed to be here, it's still not, to me, to be an over ask in terms of space for the amount of students, especially since their own survey of surrounding schools show that they actually are going to have less square footage attributed to each student than the surrounding schools. But when they talk about the growth of the school, there seems to be a big drop off in students per grade between pre-nursery and kindergarten, where the school scales down from 173 students per grade in the preschool to only 24 students per grade in grades 1 to 12. And my question for them is, what happens to all of those students between pre-nursery and kindergarten? Do they all choose to go elsewhere, or is there a potential new choke point as the school starts to allow more and more children to remain for kindergarten, and then we're going to have the same issue again where we run out of space for the existing students. So I just need to know that they have a programmatic plan in place that isn't going to start expanding all of the elementary grades because they just don't have it in their hearts to send these 173 students away once they reach kindergarten. That would that goes towards their uniqueness, which is programmatic needs, but also goes to the character and as well to the minimal variance finding. And then other than that, I just have a question about their rooftop play area, in that there's no discussion as to whether there will be sound or amplification of sound, and it just simply will not be acceptable that there would be amplification of sound at this site on the 6th floor. So they have to put that into their plans. And now I'm going to turn it over to my fellow commissioners because I just don't want to hog the mic, so to speak. So you guys have at it.
Thank you, Commissioner Otley Brown. That was very thorough. Commissioner Sheta?
Thank you, Vice Chair. I focused on the programmatic needs actually, which is actually built or based on the projections that they have for the enrollment. If you look at the statement of facts submitted, page 12, I possibly can share it. Give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry about that. The computer is kind of slow. Yeah, if you look at this chart here, 24, 25. I start with 2021. 2021, the enrollment was 359. This is a known number. It's a fact from the previous. And then if you move to 24, 25, 558. The increase is about 225 in 10 years. The average, you could say, it's 23 students per year. Then if you go to the projections,
You're going 2021.
you reading this from? We're starting at 25, 26.
20. One second. Yes, I'm sorry, this is page probably 13, the one I'm showing right now. Yes, this is 13. Yeah, I'm reading from my comments or my notes. Yes, here. If you look at 2021, 359, you go all the way at the end here, it's 585. So average is like 23 student per year. If we move to page 13, let me just go to page 13 here. This chart. This is the projection, the future. If you look at 25, 26, 586. If you look at all the way to the right, 23, 31, 32, 2031, 2032, it's 851. The increase here is 44 students per 6 years, or per year. So the total is 265, and the year difference is just 6 years. So this is like twice what happened in the past. So, and again, this number is the base for the programmatic needs, and it's gonna control the square footage per student. So I'm not sure why this big gap between what was monitored or like looked at and what is projected. So they need to clarify that before that they proceed, because I believe this is gonna govern whether this variance is minimum or not. Thank you.
Commissioner Yu?
Thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Otley Brown's summary of the project. This is obviously a lot of density on this site. They're proposing a 6.0 FAR and a 2.0 permitted FAR for community facilities. It would be helpful to discuss, or for the applicant to discuss, why the entire span of age ranges and grades needs to be co-located, or why it would be detrimental to not co-locate, as this is not typical of most schools. I think for me, this is the first time I'm seeing a school of this scale that serves infants all the way to 12th graders in the same site. And so some discussion of the need to co-locate everybody here would be helpful. I have some mostly just, kind of nitpicky comments about some of the materials that were submitted. Overall, there's quite a bit of repetition in a lot of the narrative, and that makes it both difficult for us trying to weed through what is different between different documents, between the facts and the findings, et cetera. But it also can lead to some small mistakes. And so, let's see, the statement of facts, page 6, second paragraph, towards the end, it states that a 10-foot front yard is required. On page 7, it states that the front yards must be 15 feet. That's also something that the applicant should clarify. Statement of facts notes that in 2024, 2025, 94 students were turned away. But in the statement of findings, the bottom of page 9 says that 80 were turned away. So it's a request to both try in the future reduce the repetition, especially when it's quite lengthy. And hopefully that will also help reduce some of these smaller errors. Let's see, I'm skipping around. In the statement of facts on page 23, the second paragraph discusses that this school enrolls up to grade 8 and it intends to extend to grade 9. And this is under the discussion of the school that falls under NYSEL requirements. Can you confirm that that's correct? Or, and that the upper grades do not actually fall under NYSEL requirements, or if that's a typo? I think for neighborhood context, it would be helpful to have some kind of rendering or even a massing diagram that shows the building in context. As Commissioner Otley Brown noted, there are some 4 to 6 story multifamily buildings abutting the site, which I think help the argument that the applicant is making about neighborhood context. But I think a visual will help us also see that, because on paper, a 6.0 and a 2.0 sound FAR-wise sounds quite dense. And then this is just, okay, on the FAR and floor area study and the neighborhood context study, the sites across on Carroll Street show an FAR of 0 and a floor area of 0, so please correct that. And then generally, this is a comment just on how the graphics are submitted. So for the photos that are submitted of the site and its context, while I appreciate how clear these graphics are, it's actually a little harder because at least I use these photos not only to look at the existing site, but to also look at the context around it. And I find that this distracts me a bit from being able to read the site in its context. So again, I appreciate the extra effort here, but I think that it's actually a little bit more distracting for me. And I think that covers my questions.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Okay,
Move on.
please.
Item number 19, 2025 37BZ, 38BZ, and 39BZ. This is 64 53rd Street, 5302 21st Avenue, and 5302, 5310 21st Avenue, and 2774 2084 53rd Street, and 5312 21st Avenue, Brooklyn.
Okay, so these are 3 variances to permit the development of a school contrary to the underlying bulk requirements in the R5 zoning district. I understand that BSA staff and the office of Jay Goldstein have been in communication. There'll be some modifications made to this application. Therefore, I'm going to reserve comment at this time until such modifications are submitted. I do want to note that we have in file, although 4 objections to this application. Commissioner Otley Brown, is there something you'd like to add to this?
Sure. Got a lot to add to this. So this is 3 buildings that are basically operating as if they are one building. However, the problem here is that the case has been filed as if it's 3 separate buildings. Now, I know there are some underlying reasons why, but the problem with this is that this really is one single school. So this is in summary, that is one single school that will be serving children between 0 ages and 8th grade. And it will be located in 3 building segments on 3 separate tax lots that are 3 separate zoning lots at this point in time. And that's why they actually were filed each one separately. And so the problem here, though, is that if it is filed separately like that, then each statement of facts and findings needs to separately focus in on that school building that it's actually talking about. And here what's happening is you've got a situation where you've got statement of facts and findings that is trying to do 2 things. It's trying to talk about the entire integrated project, but also trying to talk about the individual building, and what's resulting from that is a massive confusion. And so I really think that this needs to be treated as we have treated similar buildings and properties that have gone across a few tax lots. It needs to be consolidated into one comprehensive statement of facts and findings, which talks about this integrated project as it is one single school. It needs to talk about the programmatic needs for the entire school. And then it can drill down to how the programmatic needs are expressing themselves within each building. But that's not what's going on here. And so that's why this application has been extremely confusing. It's been very hard to follow whether or not there is an underlying program or programmatic needs here other than what they state in very briefly, which is we want to provide an equivalent education as to the education found in public and parochial schools in New York City. That is too broad a programmatic needs statement. And so I want to withhold most of my comments because I need this application to be completely revamped and focused and clarified so that it literally can take me by the hands as to why 3 buildings? Why are the 3 buildings the sizes that each building is? What is the underlying program here for these students? Why are these students arranged in the spaces that they're arranged, which don't really make much sense to me? And you could flow from there to how can we implement a program at this site? How do we get the students safely in and out of these buildings? And then whether or not we're disturbing the community with this large school. And then from there, we could go on to whether or not this is the appropriate layout for a school to satisfy those programmatic needs. And if it is enough space, enough space or too much space for this school. So I'm looking forward to hearing the applicant really come to us and give us a presentation that tries to clarify what's going on. And then hopefully the applicant will then go back, revamp all of the paperwork so that it supports what they've said today in the hearing and clarifies the project for the rest of us so that we can actually analyze it. That's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you. I agree that the papers that were submitted was like very confusing, especially the statement. And since the applicant is intending to modify the application, I would retain my comments for this hearing to further hearings. Thank you.
Commissioner Yoon.
Okay, I also have a lot of notes because I want to say this even, as they prepare their modified package. First question was the status of the community board presentation. But yeah, why are the 3 sites not being merged into one zoning lot? The transitioning spaces, as this is clearly meant to be a fluid space for the students to traverse across, wouldn't it be easier to have a single building, from a building code standpoint, rather than traversing multiple firewalls and lot lines at separate buildings? I have a hunch that it has something to do with keeping the existing building operational while they improve the Greco building first and then start staggering the kind of construction logistics. But I'd like for the applicant to talk about that. It seems quite difficult and complicated as 3 separate buildings. Regardless of how you file it or come back to us, we need a set of plans showing all 3 buildings together that goes floor by floor, because we need to understand how the spaces relate to each other, if they do. So let's see. Okay, the statement of facts discusses the importance of co-locating elementary and middle school, but it doesn't address the need for the daycare on site, so please add that to the discussion. The statement also notes that the daycare would be used by children of staff and as such would not add additional traffic. So the applicant should confirm this because the projected number of daycare age students from 0 to 2 is 57. And to say that 57 0 to 2-year-olds would be all children of staff does seem pretty specific moment in time. Traffic and operational plan doesn't discuss the daycare schedule. Again, and this is part of the same discussion. Doesn't clearly describe who's riding vans, who's riding buses, or private pickup. The documents, don't discuss the current practice of parents picking up kids as reported by several community members. And then this one, this I have a big problem with. There's a lot of discussion to justify the room sizes using New York City Building Code Table 1004.1.3. And the text often says, as recommended by this table. This table is not intended to be a recommended design guideline. It's providing the maximum conservative floor area per occupant in order to safely calculate occupancy for the purposes of life safety and egress calculations. The one room that made me ultimately flag this is the tutoring room in the Greco building, which is 100 square feet based on the size of 1 occupant in an office space. This is not applicable here, not as program and not as an area. Again, this table is not meant as a design guideline. But also tutoring implies a transiently used space for tutoring individual students. An office is a place where someone works 7 hours a day. It's a very different calculation, or even, the spaces should be designed based on the need, not based on this arbitrary table that is used for an entirely different purpose. For the recreation area, the applicant team has applied a 50 square foot per student recommended area for special classrooms, and this is the outdoor recreation area. 50 square feet per occupant, I don't believe will fly as an outdoor recreation space because the DOB is going to look at the most conservative value, again, for life safety and egress. And so your occupancy is likely to be calculated something like 15 square feet per student. So again, confusing this table for life safety calculations and what you actually need from a design standpoint for your actual program should be completely separate discussions. So also I wanted to just talk about the plans and generally the kind of initial impression that I have of them. Let's see, let me just pull up amended proposed condition. Give me 1 second. Okay. Maybe the best thing is I'd pull up. Sorry. Sorry, 1 second. No. Okay, let me stretch this out. So I stitched together the ground floor plan. And my first impression is that there are a lot of walls that are curving and angular and clearly some design element that's meant, I'm sure, with good intentions to create a interesting and interactive space. I'm not sure what the idea is, but it doesn't necessarily promote the concept of space efficiency. So when we're asking for a lot of floor area, I look at this and I don't know if this is the most efficient way to create these classrooms for daycare, et cetera. As you go up the floors, the classrooms do become more sort of regular and typical. And I hate to be the boring person who says make everything square, but I also don't know that I can look at this and set a precedent that says make everything slightly bigger than it needs to be for the sake of some design ambition. So I want the applicant to respond to this and also take heed that we are going to be looking, as we typically do, at efficiency of spaces because we are seeking floor area and bulk here as part of the waivers.
Just to, you would accept an argument about programmatic needs with regard to
Yeah.
exercises?
I,
Okay.
I would, of course. And overall, the gross square footage per student hasn't exceeded, and I even took out the outliers at 400 something, and we still end up at a good place. But even that being said, I'm not going to rely on the ratio and ignore the plans, right? We need to make sure that we're treating all the schools the same and making sure that we're applying the same kind of equity and sort of a discipline to them if they're asking for these bulk waivers. And then trash says that all trash is going to be brought to the Greco building. We're going to need a very thorough trash plan about containerization, curbside operations, storage, et cetera. Those are my comments.
Anything else from any of the commissioners?
That's it.
Yes, we'll move on.
Item number 20, 2025 40BZ, 2800 Bruckner Boulevard, the Bronx.
This is a variance to permit the conversion of an enlargement of an existing building to allow for a new school, contrary to the underlying bulk regulations in an R4 zoning district. So Commissioner Chair Shonda has left some notes that she wanted read into the record. The historical chronology in the statement of facts, page 2, is a bit confusing and incomplete. Page 2, second paragraph states the new building application was approved on October 22nd, 2023, prior to the rezoning, and DOB issued sign-off on the building on April 11th, 2008. Check the date for the new building permit, which should be prior to obtaining a certificate of occupancy. The CO states the use group for nonprofit but sleeping accommodations, whereas the statement of facts states office use. Is this because the site is being used for a use that is contrary to the CO? Also, the statement of facts needs to mention that 2 open ECB violations that were issued for non-conforming use. Revesting under R4. Statement of facts on page 2 that the existing building may have vested under R4 zoning. Provide a zoning chart comparing the build condition with applicable regulations when it was built to the existing R3A LDGMA regulations to establish existing legal noncompliance and the proposed increase. If possible, provide DOB approved plans to establish legal noncompliance. The proposed per plan 3 parking spaces will be provided along Quincy Avenue frontage. Clarify the need for a curb cut along Swinton Avenue. Is it needed? Who will be using the 3 parking spaces? In both existing and as of right proposed, both existing as of right proposed show the area of existing noncompliance. Apart from the existing noncompliance, the increased noncompliance is due to the additional height proposed for the multipurpose room. Provide a brief narrative to establish the need for increased height for the use. AOR 17,465 square feet FA. 9 classrooms, no specialized room, multi-purpose room to serve as a gym cafe. Program conflict when the spaces for multi-purpose. If established that the building is legally non-compliant, then the as-of-right conversion of the existing building should be permitted pursuant to ZR 5431. This will allow for 21,340 square feet of existing floor area to be repurposed. As of right proposed in statement of facts should be revised accordingly once legal noncompliance is established. With regard to the findings, it meets deference and the programmatic needs statement was thorough. With regard to neighborhood character, the proposed enlargement would result in an increased height along a portion of the frontage from 42 to 53 in a modest increase. However, considering the gym fronting Brookton Boulevard, this will allow for the proposed building of the bulk to be located away from the residential lot lines. Also, by doing so, will not require relocating the existing stairwells from the rear of the building to the front of the building. Noise analysis was conducted and the noise attenuation will be required to select street frontages. There's a 10-foot distance between the existing building and the abutting residential lot lines. What will be the treatment of the rear lot lines? Provide fence, material, and height. Statement of facts does not discuss the mode of travel for the students, hours of operation. How will drop-off and pickup be managed without affecting the existing neighborhood and vehicle flow? Will a designated no parking zone be required? Need to make provisions to store trash inside the building, which will be brought out only prior to pickup. Revise the plan. Add a note to the roof plan only to be accessed for maintenance and emergency purposes. Regard self-created, the D finding has been modified for nonprofit organizations. Refer to the requirement in the website and revise your findings of statements accordingly. As to minimal, the ask is minimal. They need to respond to the rear lot line treatment, relocating the bulk to the front of Bruckner Boulevard, travel mode to and from school, and its effects on neighborhood context. Those are the notes of the chair. I'll only add that I believe the applicant team met with the community board on October 21st, 2025. I do not believe we have a community board yet. Ms. Morris, do we have community board on this yet?
We do not. You're correct. They did go before the board and make a presentation. However, the community board has not issued a recommendation as yet.
We have a testimony in folder, one statement for and one statement against the application due to parking and traffic concerns. I have nothing further on this. Commissioner Otley-Brown.
Okay, so this is an application for a middle school. This is part of the iLearn Charter School Group. They currently have 2 elementary schools located in the Bronx, and as their students are aging out, they now need a middle school site. The mission of the iLearn Charter School Group is to provide a high-quality STEAM-based education in an innovative learning environment to empower students to meet and surpass grade-level expectations and succeed in college and career. I'm very supportive of that mission, actually. So this school is going to serve 300 middle school students. And what's interesting about this is it appears to be a very minimal ask, because what they really want to do is raise the height of the roof on part of the 3rd floor to accommodate a multi-purpose room and a gymnasium. But overlooked in that description is the fact that they're actually going to be activating about 10,000 square feet that right now is on the 1st floor and is serving as a parking garage, therefore doesn't count as floor area. But when they actually convert that into school space, it will be floor area, and that's why the floor area will be jumping from 21,340 square feet right now to 30,180 square feet. Not that that's a problem, but I just think that we should mention that because it is the first hearing, and that'll give everybody an idea of the impact that will be happening at this site. Let's see, I just jumped. It seems to me very logical and rational that the school would want to have a gymnasium that has the proper height so that they can actually use it for sports competitions and activity. And I also think that the location of this site is actually, even though it is surrounded by low rise, I do know this area pretty well. I used to live not far from here when I was a child. This is actually located on a portion of the Bruckner Expressway service road that actually abuts the larger Bruckner Expressway, which is 3 lanes in each direction. Then there's also 2 lanes on each side of the service road, both the northeastern and the southwestern side, which is on the other side of this. So I don't think that the bulk would have that much of an impact here, at least looking in towards the front of the building. It'd be nice to see what the rendering looks like from the rear, from my perspective, so I could just see the effect on the homes behind to see what if there are going to be any issues for those homes in the rear of this school building. Other than that, I think this is a minimal ask. I would like to know ultimately what the gross square footage per student is on the schools surrounding this area, just to see if they are asking for more than what's generally developed in this area for schools. But at 100.1 gross square foot per student, I don't think they're going to be exceeding the averages in the area. I don't really have any other questions for this one.
Thank you, Commissioner Ollie Brown. Commissioner Shetto?
Thank you, Vice Chair. I have some, some errors in the statement of facts, I believe. Page 2, it talks about an application for a new building that was approved October 22nd, 2023, and it says that prior to rezoning and DOB issued sign-off of the building on April 11, 2008. So I believe there is an inconsistency here. I have a question regarding the status of the building. I understand that it's a non-complying building, but I'm not sure if there is any BSA history. So I would like them to clarify about that in the statement, whether the building has obtained any grants, whether the building was vested. Just clarify regarding the status of the compliance of the building. It also says that part of the building it describes the building as vacant, and then it says part of the building has a tenant. So I'm not sure which one is which here. And the only technical concern I have is regarding the noise. I understand that they are proposing some noise mitigation / attenuation along street frontages, but I'm not sure along the residential whether they have upper fill windows or not, whether they have any sound attenuation measures along the residential property line. This is not clear from the statement, so please clarify on that too. Regarding the ask, I believe the ask is minimum. I looked at the existing plan and the proposed to see whether the gym could be situated in the middle, and then the building gonna have like a setback from the street and a setback from the rear, so it mitigates the impact on the neighborhood. But I believe the structural layout is kind of like tough to do that. It might be like costly to achieve a goal like this. So I would be okay with the location of the gym right now. Especially there is some sort of like a yard in the back. So I would be okay with the way it is right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shetto. Commissioner Yoon?
Thank you. I think that the chair talked about most of my comments. And the only thing that I think to add is just that the transportation, it seems, I just like confirmation that only 6th graders are going to use the bus, and that 7th and 8th graders will not be permitted to use the bus at all. I understand that there's a detailed traffic analysis pending, and I think that'll help with the C finding, but otherwise I do think it's minimal, and that is all I have.
Any further comments from any commissioner or any BSA staff?
Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
Item number 21, 2025-41BZ, 13802 Hillside Avenue, Queens.
This is a special permit pursuant to 73-311 to permit accessory drive-through through a facility operating in conjunction with an as-of-right eating and drinking establishment. In this case, it is Raising Cane. We've had signed and sealed affidavit, a proof of initial filing provided, a proof of hearing notice was provided, but we do not have a community board vote yet. The chair has made some notes that she'd like me to read onto the record. The southern curb cut will be for entry and exit. Northern curb cut will be for exit right turn only from the drive-through. Indicate on the plan the proposed width of the curb cuts. Provide stop signs in addition to a stop bar. Also add right turn only signs at the exit of both curb cuts. Provide a detail of the trash enclosure material height. The statement of facts states 12 reservoir spaces. It is not clear from the plan. Also, can you only count spaces located from the pickup window to the start of the queue towards the reservoir spaces and not the spaces after the pickup window? Provide a minimum 4-foot high fence that complements residential quality along 138th Street frontage and wrap it around Hillside Avenue to prevent pedestrian crossing through the drive-through lane. Are there designated parking spaces for mobile pickup? As stated earlier, plan lacks clarity regarding the reservoir spaces. Also, no vehicles shall block the sidewalk or curb cut at any time. That note should be added. The project manager will provide a sample note. The placement of the drive-through has been done to allow for more vehicles to be contained on the site. The first Raising Cane approved by BSA into 2024 is on Merrick Boulevard and Francis Lewis Boulevard. Couldn't the assumptions used for this site be applied here? The floor area used in the traffic report, 2,182 square feet, does not correspond with other document, 2,806 square feet. Revise document analysis accordingly. 27 to 47% of customers expected to arrive by foot is a very big range. You need to elaborate and clarify how it supports the B finding. For example, per traffic analysis, when pedestrian volume may be high on Saturday, it is not so on weekend, midday, and evening. During midday and evening, vehicle volumes would be 73% and 79% respectively, compared to 27% and 21% pedestrian. Overall, B finding needs to be elaborated. Need to clarify the operations, such as no breakfast being served, state the peak periods, peak drive-through volumes, need to discuss the result of the queuing analysis. Queuing analysis has been provided by midday, PM, Saturday peak. According to the analysis, on weekdays, midday, 7 vehicles, 4 in PM, 3 in Saturday would be in the queue. Tuesday and Wednesday would appear that 12 reservoir spaces will be adequate. Meets the C finding, the vehicle access located along Hillside Avenue, which is commercial, along Queens Boulevard, a major roadway, which is located less than 65 feet from the subject site. Respond to the air quality impact. Traffic volume is during peak would not exceed screening and threshold. Lumen study has been provided. It is not clear from the plans. Proposed fencing treatment along the residential lot line must be made of material that is respectful of the residential context, and OPEG preferred that is attenuate sound. The fencing should be along both lot 53 and 59. Planting along residential lot lines, lots 59, 53, needs to be of a dense tree, not shrub. A proposed little Princess Spira, especially with a chain link fence. Dimension the proposed landscaping area, length and width. Provide a detailed landscaping, including depth of the planting bed. And I believe that is everything for Chair Shanda with regard to this application. I do want to note that we do have 3 opposition letters that are in the file. One is with regard to the property values, and I just want the record to be reflected that these have been read, and I have nothing further to add. Commissioner Otley Brown.
My only comment for this case has to do with the D&E finding, because they're talking about having a brick wall with an 8-foot tall chain link fence with barbed wire constructed along the portion of the southern lot line that's shared with the residential uses, along with multi-row landscaping. I agree with the chair that the fence, as well as the fence, should be a residential quality fence with sound attenuation, and also the 2 rows of landscaping should be tall arbor vitae that will provide a kind of wall as well. So it'll kind of be 2 walls that will serve as a good sound boundary as well as a lighting boundary with the homes behind this establishment. I do believe that unless they could provide us with a really good reason, the barbed wire should be removed. I'm really not in favor of barbed wire fences in residential areas. It just makes the area look like it's, under siege. And I don't think that's a good look for residential. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Otley Brown. Commissioner Sheta?
Thank you. I start with the pictures submitted. I believe the pictures for some reason were taken from so far away from the site, so they need to be retaken from a closer distance. I did look at Google Street View, and I looked at the drawings, and I see that on drawing BSA-02.0, it makes a reference to an existing brick wall with 8 feet high chain link fence. I can possibly share that photo that's talking about that. And I can't see any brick wall here. I believe that it's just the chain link fence and that's it. So that need to be corrected if it's inaccurate. Again, looking at the statement on page 4, it says, as will be discussed below, the proposed special permit will have no adverse impact on the privacy, quiet, light, and air in the neighborhood. And then I did look below and I saw nothing. So I didn't see a discussion for that. So the discussion that's arguing that quietness, the privacy, the light, and the air in the neighborhood is not going to be like impaired or impacted, which is the heart of the findings actually for this special permit, is not there. So they need to add that part of the argument to the statement. I don't think the noise that's coming from the menu board is an issue, because the menu board is kind of like far away enough. But I'm like deeply concerned about the drive-through lane going right next to the residential property line. So they need to like take a brief measure to make sure that the noise from cars is not going to cross to the residential building and like make like some nonsense there. They are proposing, please respect our neighbors, turn off sound system sign. I'm not sure about the exact location for that. If you look at the site plan, it's right there in the middle of the plan in the residential area. But I don't think this is if they are talking about this is the place where this sign should be placed. I'm not sure if this is the right location for it. It should be at the entrance of the site. I'm not sure if they specify the location to be at the exit. That doesn't make sense to me. And then finally, I wanted them to address the violations in the statement, of any. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sheta. Commissioner Yoon?
Thank you. The only things to add are that to be consistent with other drive-throughs, please dimension the typical length of the car space that you're showing, and they must be at least 18 feet long. To the chair's comment about whether they can count, they should start the count of the queue from the pickup window. I believe that is what they're doing, and I'll just show here. So car 1 is located here, and you can see there's a little pop out in the building footprint. And just to be clear, in the plan, this is the drive-through pickup window, which is clearly noted here. So it does seem like they do start their queue count from the pickup window. And then the only other comment I had is that the neighbor objections were concerned about traffic getting onto the Van Wyck Expressway that's already existing and how this could contribute to it. And that would be along 138th Street, which then merges with the service road for 100, for the Van Wyck Expressway. But thankfully, I think it's a good design where the curb cuts are only located on Hillside Avenue. And so if any neighbors are listening, take a look at the plan. It does seem like this would be the best case scenario for locating the curb cuts so as to avoid the traffic that's trying to get on the Van Wyck. And those are the only other comments I have.
Ms. Becky has her hand up.
Spanky?
Hi, one comment on the EAS, for the noise section, they should discuss the menu board, noise and attach the noise analysis graphic within the EAS as well. Thanks.
That's it? No more
No.
comments?
No more comments.
So this concludes the, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the review session for January 13th. We will resume in,
15 minutes?
what time is it, 11:30?
Yeah.
15 minutes?
11:45.
45.
11:45? We'll resume at 11:45. Thank you. Mics off, please.
Getting some issue there. The price point is there.
So you started with
I have no idea.
I didn't realize.
That's what happened. You started with,
Yeah, because
I
Hey, good morning, everyone again. Members of the board, please ensure that your microphones are on. Ms. Matias, we are live, recording and streaming. You may proceed with today's public hearing.
Please put your mics on. Mics on? Everyone have their mics on? Okay, good.
Ms. Matias, can you turn your camera on, please?
Oh, did I? Oh, I didn't put it back on. I apologize. Yeah. Sorry, thank you. Good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals public hearing for January 13, 2026. Please note for the record that Commissioner Otley Brown is joining us remotely and Chair Shonda is absent. The first item is special order calendar, new cases 75160 BZ, 105 New Dorp Lane, Staten Island. That would be Lyra Altman. Oh, sorry.
It was not going on. Well, let's start without it. Hi, Lyra Altman, from Office of Lyra Altman. I did attend your executive session.
Have to swear you in, Miss Altman.
That's correct. I'm here ready for you. My hand is up.
Your camera's not working?
I keep hitting video open. It's not working for some reason. Not my camera. It's the Zoom isn't letting me go on video.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments and review session.
Thank you. Lyra Altman from the Office of Lyra Altman. I did attend your review session, heard your comments. To begin, I understand there were a lot of questions regarding photos of the exterior of the site, including the striping and the handicap spaces. It'd be my pleasure to provide you more photographs. As far as the cars that were seen without plates, they are not for sale on the site. The gentleman who does the repairs does do some repairs for dealerships in the area. So occasionally they will bring cars over that don't have plates, but they are not being sold on the site. They're just being repaired. With respect to the hours of operation, the garage operates from 8 to 6 Monday to Friday and 9 to 3 on Sundays. The gas station is 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Now, I know that one of the big questions was Cloister Place, that area in the back. That area in the back, Commissioner Yoon, you had asked if it had previously been approved to change to gravel. No, that is one of the requests we're making in this application. The reason being the grass, we were concerned would be a maintenance problem and could be unsightly potentially. What we've heard the board's comments, there seems to be a concern that the landscaping is sparse. We are happy to revamp the proposal to provide more landscaping in that area and in terms of either trees or bushes so that it would be more visually appealing for the neighbors without adding the maintenance of the grass. As far as what is below the gravel, I've spoken with the owner of the site this morning and he informs me that it is soil below the gravel. And lastly, oh, yes, Commissioner.
Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you finished.
Okay, I'm happy to answer a question, Commissioner.
Okay, during the rain events and that, like, even this season, have they seen like any water ponding in this area, or it's a well draining material, so whatever water comes drains down or percolates?
One of the gentlemen says no. I will be checking with the other. There are 2 people that operate the site, and I will be confirming it with both. But as of now, I'm being told no, it has not been a problem.
Okay. So no water ponding.
From what I understand, no. But as I said, I've only spoken with one of the operators. I'm going to confirm with the other. I wasn't able to reach both prior to our hearing today, since the review session, I should say.
You can just put it in there. If you're gonna submit a revised statement, just
I'm happy to.
Interaction with the operator in the statement.
I'll be happy to add that to the statement of facts and findings, along with the request. I know Mr. Vine had asked how long of a term we're requesting. We're requesting 10 years and 1 year to get a certificate of occupancy, only because we want to make sure we have time to get all the landscaping in. And of course, let's say the approval were in February, we wouldn't be able to immediately get the landscaping in. We have to wait for the ground to thaw. There was one other concern that was brought up by Commissioner Yoon. Why was the most recent certificate of occupancy from 2002? The answer is after the 2008 approval, They were supposed to get another certificate of occupancy. There was an oversight between the engineer and the client. The client thought the engineer was doing it. The engineer didn't realize it was expected that he was going to be the one to do it without additional conversation with the client. When we came in 2020, we had explained that, and we were anticipating getting the approval, getting a new certificate of occupancy after the 2020 approval. Unfortunately, due to the modifications on the site that occurred that we're now requesting approval on, the DOB had not issued that certificate of occupancy. Once we get these approved, we should be ready for that to be done with this landscaping modification.
Ms. Altman?
Yes.
Since we're already doing, as you detailed, you're going to do much more landscaping. That's going to require a certain level of maintenance as well. Can you have your client consider putting grass instead of gravel on that ground, being that they're going to be doing the maintenance anyway?
I mean, I'll jump in and I will say that I'm very sympathetic when people say grass is hard to maintain. It is incredibly hard to maintain. So there are other ground covers that could be installed in exchange for grass, but a typical lawn is actually so much more labor intensive than I think it gets credit for. So
I would agree with you. As I have learned from having one now, I have learned it takes a lot more to maintain grass than I ever anticipated.
and it will become unsightly and patchy pretty quickly if it's
And
not-
that was their concern. They didn't want it to be unappealing.
How about a strip just right next to the residential neighbor? Just like probably 2-3 feet wide strip next to that neighbor, and it would be beneficial if it's like elevated a little bit. There is like an elevation difference between that strip along the residential property line and the rest of the yard.
There are let me pull up the photo that is in the
I'm sure I know exactly which photo you're looking at in my head.
landscaping in a strip adjacent to both sides. It's more that to me, I was more thinking that the middle looked quite sparse, but there does appear to be some shrubbery
Yes.
that's probably like 4 or 5 feet high along this side. They are lower on the
That's correct. They are newer on the, we'll call it the left side on the photograph. They're newer plants that will of course grow.
there's a better picture of this where it's not winter, but
There is another picture that we submitted that's a little further back that gives a
yeah,
view.
if I can
I
find.
think we spent enough time on landscaping at this moment.
Okay,
Is there,
If they just give us the statement, I'm looking at the picture.
yeah, she can,
It's actually, I can share it, and this is what I'm talking about. Let me just make sure that is the right one. Come on.
right, that's the left side of the photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are this.
Just one
newer.
of that when you look at that strip here, you see it's kind of like going down towards the fence. Well, and there is no like continuous grass strip along the fence. What I'm talking about, if first of all, sit back. If the operator give you a statement that he didn't notice any water ponding during the past year or so, I'm fine with it. If he says yes, there was some, I would make like a strip 2 feet wide or 3 feet wide right next to the fence and
Right.
elevate it, not like the picture is showing, not like dipping through the towards the fence. No, make that strip along the fence, right next to the fence, is a little bit higher, and then the gravel like dips to the other side.
Understood.
and also in your submission, if you could consider, environmental ground planting, they do require low maintenance. But I think we should move off the subject of landscaping and move on to the other comments.
Okay. Now, I believe we've addressed all the other comments.
Yeah, I think that's it. Any additional questions or concerns from the commissioners? Then I'd ask that we go to the public.
Okay, I'm waiting for Jella to sign up. Thank you, Jella. The case that we're currently discussing is 75160BZ, 105 New Dorp Lane in Staten Island. Should you have comments on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you will press the, excuse me, at the prompt, you will press the webinar ID number 161-542-0511 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you will press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press star 9 to raise your hand, star 6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized, you will have 3 minutes to comment on this application.
And while we're sitting here, I just would like to thank your board for your willingness to put this on second call today in light of our situation yesterday.
No problem.
I hope all is well.
It is, thank you, but I needed to resolve the issue at the time.
Understood.
It's an annoying noise.
I don't know.
It's just annoying.
Should we, do you think we're gonna call?
All right, just wait for the clock to run out. Record open for submissions. Okay,
Having heard no comments or concerns from the public and having heard no other comments or concerns from the commissioners, I ask that we close this application and leave the record open for submission.
how much time will you need, Ms. Altman?
As a precaution, because I know we're going to have to redo the plan a little bit as far as the grass is concerned, if I could have 1 month, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, we'll contact you with the date. So the motion to close, Vice Chair Shabeta,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Shetta,
Aye.
Commissioner Yu.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Zoning calendar continued hearing items. Item number 15, 2024-27BZ and 5512BZ, 762 White Avenue, Brooklyn. Sands is up. Weird. Good afternoon, Mr. Steinhaus. Is there anyone else with you on your team?
No, just me.
It's you. Okay, raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Good afternoon. Kurt Steinhaus from BCLP. We heard the board's comments at review session. With respect to the fire department violations, we understand that the fire department is looking into things, but we just wanted to clarify that there was an existing PA space on the 6th floor, which had a permit. The 5th floor space was new and resulted in the violation, so the school filed to legalize the 5th floor PA space. With respect to the trash bins, our understanding, oh, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you point out where it is? Because it does not seem to be indicated on the plans.
Sure, we can submit the PA plans that we filed.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. With respect to the trash bins, our understanding is that bins may be stored within 3 feet of the building without a revocable consent, which would be required for a permanent structure. I believe DOT school safety confirmed our understanding. We do not propose a permanent structure alongside the building because that would not address the board's concerns about placing trash bags on the sidewalk when placed curbside for pickup, which is why the wheeled bins are proposed and currently in use. The architect did confirm, though, that the short side of the bins is 2.5 feet. We understand that that is not the way that they were placed in the photographs that we provided to the board, but we can ensure that the bins would be placed with the short side such that they fall within the 3-foot allowance next to the building, and we can provide proof that the bins are being stored that way. We did also hear the board's suggestion about a trash compactor. We note that the proposed trash storage has been sized to handle the school's existing trash, and the enlargement of the school is not to accommodate increased enrollment, so trash is not expected to increase over time. That said, the school is committed to looking into waste reduction strategies to ensure that the proposed storage space is sufficient. And lastly, we would like to emphasize that DOT school safety reviewed the school's waste management, and the Department of Sanitation did not express any concerns with the school's waste management practices at its site visit over the summer.
Okay. I mean, I think that that was the only solution. The other solution that I thought of was rotating the tilt carts so that they're actually lined up against the building, but
Yes, the school has taken many efforts in terms of, improving its waste management practices, and we can certainly ask that the school administration ensure that the building manager knows the correct placement.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
no.
Ms. Matias asked that we go to the public.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. The case that we're currently discussing is 2024-27 BZM 55-12 BZ, 762 Wythe Avenue, Brooklyn. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the webinar ID number 161-542-0511 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you will press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press star 9 to raise your hand, star 6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized, you will have 3 minutes in which to comment on this application.
Mr. Steinhaus, in addition to submitting the PA plans that you've submitted, can you also amend the plans that you submitted for the BSA application that indicate where the place of assembly is on the 5th floor so that it's part of our record?
Yes, understood. So we can amend the existing plan for the location of the PA space on the 5th floor. I would note that with the proposed enlargement, the PA space would not be there, but we will amend the existing plans just to clarify where that is.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
How much time do you need, Mr. Steinhaus?
We can turn around the submission within a couple weeks. But I would note that we do have seeker outstanding. We're working on that to get all of those comments addressed as quickly as possible. But if our responses today have, satisfied the commissioners, we would very much appreciate a close for a vote later pending seeker. But
No?
Okay. So, with secret still outstanding and waiting for situations that is more suitable with regard to the trash and those photos that have been part of the issue that has been ongoing, we're not comfortable closing just yet, but we'll try to keep this case on a quick calendar.
understood. Thanks. We really appreciate it.
Item number 16, 2024-38 BZ, 90-1700 79th Street, Queens. Ms. Davies Fuller there.
Hi, I should have one person, Francis. He's from the architect's office.
Francis Lee.
Yeah. Okay, Francis, if you could unmute and show your screen if possible.
Guided on mute, starting video.
Oh, there
yeah.
you go.
Okay, raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
I do.
Name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments.
Elise Fullader from Eric Palatnik PC. I'm here with Francis from the architect's office. We appreciate your comments. We're going to go through them one by one, and then hopefully we will address them. So I'm going to start with the easier ones first. One is the notes. That's easily added to the plan, not a problem. The notes from the chair can be added. In terms of the FEMA map, we did provide the index, like he said, that I could show you, which shows that there is no map. There is no firm map because it's not in a flood zone, like for that. That's why we gave that index map, because there is no firm map printed for that section. I can write that in the cover letter if that makes it clear.
That's what I asked for during the last hearing. I said,
Okay, I just thought we had clarified that.
or indicate that it doesn't exist.
Okay, it doesn't exist, so. For common ownership, I can try to go deeper or give more examples. We had discussed in the last hearing that they've always been separate zoning lots. There was a garage on there before, but the structures that were on there were built prior to 1961, and they've always been separate zoning lots. So even though there was common ownership, they could have never really been developed together, and they've always been treated as separate lots.
Perhaps some discussion, as I think the chair had talked about at the last hearing, about how even a merger of the lots would still would only allow you to build one house on it in any case, and would present a hardship. Some
Okay.
that to just build on what was discussed at the last hearing and respond to the comments from the last hearing.
Okay, I thought we had talked it through. That was my understanding.
We did
So,
look it through, but I think
Yeah.
Commissioner Yoon is just having it put in writing, so it's.
okay, I can do that. And I can discuss how if we combine the lots, that's an easy way to to discuss it, that you could only have one building here. Then what is our other comments? And then Francis would like to he can explain to you, because he designed the plans, about how it's a legal two-family, and then I think that currently the client is on an airplane. So if we, after the discussion, we determine that it does need to be one family, we would have to ask him first before proceeding with that. So we weren't able to do that. But Francis can speak now to how he created this two-family home.
Yeah, if you take a look at the floor plan on second floor.
You want me to share that? Would that be
I don't know how to share this.
I'm saying I could too, if that's helpful.
Here, I'll put it up right now.
Or she can, yeah, whoever. There you go.
Yeah, there. I propose 3 bedroom on second floor and 2 bathroom and 1 living room, and then 1 room and then the living room in the middle. We propose a skylight as per the building code. We can use the skylight as the light and ventilation source in the R3 group. So light and ventilation is okay for the those room. So second floor, I think this is pretty decent size and then layout for as a one family. And then the other one, first floor, we propose the one big living room, and then on the back we propose a bedroom, and then small room we propose walk-in closet, and then kitchen and bathroom. So I think layout is okay for two family house.
I'm unsure with this provision for R3.
R-3 occupancy group.
What is, can you explain what this is limited to?
R3 is 1 and 2 family. That's R3 occupancy group. And then if you see the building code section 1205.2, that's a natural light. And there is the exception for group R. The skylight can be used as light and ventilation source.
I have to say, I feel uncomfortable with this layout and the decision to turn this into a two-family home that will yield a less than preferable layout. I'm sorry, as a one-family home, it was laid out decently. And we have to remember this is only 16 and a half feet wide. So you're introducing, number one, you're introducing a family, which neighbors would feel, okay, that's a very narrow lot. We're going to put a one-family home, but then you're going to increase the density to two families just because you can. And the result is you've got rooms without windows. I have a problem with that, being that I'm being asked to vote on this. I just think that this is definitely an inferior proposition.
And I think to add to that, one thing I had considered when reviewing this case, to see if an attached home is typical in the area, which from the glance at the side yard study, it does not seem to be typical at all in this area. What I considered, is there a lesser variance where we permit a narrower side yard? And so here it does feel like in granting us, if we were to grant this waiver of both side yards, or sorry, the one side yard, then you've sort of taken the opportunity to then add density to this, which, I think it does feel problematic.
I'm not suggesting that this is an answer to it. Is there a skylight in these rooms?
Yes, that's what they're saying.
That's
Is they're
the only
shooting
light
light
they're
and air.
saying, and we have proved this in the past?
No.
No.
I mean, I'm personally not familiar with it just because my experience isn't in 1 and 2 family homes.
I think you've heard the concerns of the board, and I think it might be time to bring this back to a redesign, listening to the concerns of the board, because we have 2 commissioners that are strongly.
So I think that the other comments seem easy to resolve, but this comment we have to bring back to the owner and have a conversation with the designer of this home. And we'll show him the video.
Okay.
Francis, anything else to add?
Oh, let me discuss with the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else from any commissioner or PSA staff?
Is Ms. Fullader finished with her presentation?
Yeah.
It has to go to the public.
I'm waiting for Jim.
Okay, fine. It's like, yeah,
The case that we're currently, thank you, Jola. The case that we're currently discussing is 2024-38BZ, 90-1779th Street, Queens. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the webinar ID number 161-542-0511 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And and if you're in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized in any format, you will have 3 minutes in which to comment on this application. How much time will you need?
Francis, what do you think? Like a month?
Yeah, Mondays.
All right, I'm assuming you have to have a conversation and then draw.
Yeah, I think Mondays.
Okay, so that is what we would request. Whatever works for you within about a month's time.
We'll reach out to you with date.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Continued here. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Fullader.
Thank you.
Item number 7, call the next case, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Francis, you can go.
Okay.
Thank you. 2506BZ, 8802 Northern Boulevard, Queens. Anyone else, Ms. Fullader?
Yeah, if David Noor is here, he's from Popeyes, he's the applicant. Is he, do you see a David Noor or
Yeah.
a phone number? Yeah. Okay,
Nobody seems to be having connectivity issues today.
okay. David, if you could unmute, I don't know if you're available by.
Yep, I'm available. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
You have your camera on?
I do not, unfortunately, I am driving right now.
I would suggest you pull over, sir.
Okay,
We're
give
not
me 1 minute.
One, you do not consider, we do not allow to have you driving. It's dangerous.
Well, I don't, yeah, I guess we can wait for him to swear in, but he doesn't have to say too much. I just want him to be here in case you.
Okay, but I need to swear them in, swear them in.
Okay.
Are you good?
Give me 1 second.
Okay, let me know when you're good.
All right, there we go. I just want to say I was driving hands-free, so I wasn't doing anything dangerous.
Shouldn't be driving and speaking, but okay. All right, so ready? Raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Thank you.
Yes.
State your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Elise Fullader from Eric Palatnik PC. I'm here with David from Popeyes. I would like to share my screen, so let me make sure I open the right one. Here we go.
Where here?
Plans of red clouds. Okay. Okay, so because some of the comments I think we addressed and some of them still outstanding. So the first comment I wanted to go through is talking about the community board's comments that the chair had brought up. One is we did do under no circumstances shall motor vehicles in the queue be allowed to spill back on Northern Boulevard, which I thought was the comment, but in this rendition of the comments, it was a little bit longer of a statement. We can change that statement out for the new statement if you prefer, but that is what we were trying. She had a comment about that note.
Sure, we can give you the language.
Okay, because that is the language we took from the last hearing, but it's been a while, so sometimes things get updated. The next comment I wanted to say is we had discussed with the community board about the AVC feature, and because it is important because Popeyes operates a lot of its businesses at night because that's when people crave Popeyes. They don't like wake up in the morning and want to eat necessarily Popeyes breakfast. The later hours are the ones where business, and I thought we had talked about this last time, but we talked to the community board a lot about the AVC feature. And this is a really old site, and not a specialist in AVC, but I don't think that was something that was like the technology was where it is today. So that's kind of what we were trying to get at when we addressed the community board, and there is this AVC feature now on this updated menu board. So I would like to have this conversation again, probably about opening later, especially if there's an acoustic fence, and there is one, but we can discuss making it higher in the back. Because it's very important for this business operationally to be able to continue to have that drive-through a little bit later. It's how they do most of their business.
I think it's really, I guess part of the confusion is the operator, David Noor, who's on today, signing a letter that stated that there would be no amplified sound after 9 p.m.
Well, because it's amplified because before there wasn't the feature on it.
Well, I'm just saying the definition of amplified is the AVC is an amplifier that is also controlling the volume of the amplification. So that's where it's
Okay, so maybe the language, I'm sorry if we didn't understand how to write the language appropriately. We had the conversation with the community board. I think it's that, I guess we can write a letter that says that the technology, I don't know, we can change the letter and write back to the community board.
I mean, I understand practically what you're saying. I just think the submission itself and the action of the operator to sign that and agree to that is misleading to the community board because it is what other amplification are we talking about? If the only amplification we know of or would normally talk about in a drive-through is the AVC at the menu board, right? So
yeah, we talked a lot at the community board about volume control. Like that was a big conversation when I was there.
I believe that, first of all, I have a problem with this submission because I haven't looked at the sound submission and the lighting submission. The reason for that is there was a submission on December 30th that didn't include any drawings about sound nor lighting, I believe. Maybe lighting was included, but sound, none.
Yeah, it's because we had to get a separate, the architect couldn't do it.
Can I finish, please?
Oh, sorry.
And we have discussed this during the last hearing. Even though on December 30th, the first submission, none about sound. And then boom, all of a sudden, on January 9th, the submission was amended to include sound appendix. It shouldn't be an appendix. It should be a plan that's showing the sound analysis that's done by an engineer or a sound specialist.
It was done by a sound specialist, yeah.
So looking at the sound plan, the AVC is not an amplifier. The AVC actually limits the sound output from the menu board.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Even with the AVC on,
yeah,
in your submission, in the second submission, you put a wrong statement in that submission. You're talking about a limit of 55 decibels that's allowed. And then you're saying, okay, based on that, we're fine. If you look at the plans, if an engineer looked at the plans, actually the amount that's crossing the property line according to the shading is 58. So you're exceeding the 55 limit. So that's not okay. Unless the engineer does some further analysis to us that it's not 58, actually it's less. So I believe on a site like this, you're gonna need a sound attenuation system, fence on the wall, and please, when you submit next time, one submission, unless there is a minor interaction with the project manager that mandates some minor changes, but not missing plans because that caused confusion to us.
Understood.
I'm surprised when Commissioner Yoon in the review session shared the sound attenuation plan, and I haven't looked at it.
Understood.
Thank you.
So I guess I wanted to, if we had I guess I want to talk about how to resolve this. If we do a larger acoustical fence and have the engineer look at it again, is it something the board would be open to, or is the board like close the drive-through?
Are you open to changing the location of the menu board? Is that possible?
David, that is to you.
No, it won't be because there's different components of the drive-through board rather than just the screen. You have underground loops. You have basically there's a stack. There's a monitor, sensors. There's much more than just the screen, right? And then that flows into internal components and equipment inside the restaurant. And I think we utilize what was existing and what was approved prior and try to maintain that spec. We built the store based around the previous approved layout and positioning.
Yeah, because this has been a drive-through for many decades. So.
Then you need a taller fence with sound attenuation. That's
Okay.
it. And please
Okay.
have the sound engineer look at it and analyze it.
Understood.
Thank you.
So let me get back to the comments. The maneuverability plan, we can add that. I think that's what they were trying to do with the arrows, but I understand you need something more. We just discussed the operational funds, hours of operation. We had put that in our cover letter, and it is what we just discussed. Let me look. So it is the whole site and the drive-through from 10:30 a.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days a week. But we can put in an additional acoustic fence and discuss it further, I guess, after we look at it again.
I have a comment regarding the lighting, which
Yeah.
again, I seen it later.
Mhm.
If you look at light E,
Okay, stop sharing. I have to go to the lighting.
yeah, sure.
Okay. Submit.
I can share it.
Okay, whichever you prefer. I have it now. It just, like you said, it was a separate plan because we got a different engineer who could deal with lighting to.
Yeah, light E is in the top, like in the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah, can you zoom in to it, please?
yeah, I see it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the output right next to the light pole,
Yeah.
3.9 to the left and 4.2, average is like 4.
Yeah.
That 200-watt LED light pole, I'm not sure if this output is accurate. Can you have the lighting engineer check that and provide like some
Yeah,
sort of
no problem.
feedback? Because I went to the lighting calculator and I put the 200 wattage and it's giving me the output is way more than 4. So my concern is if you install a 200-watt light pole that similar to the one that's shown in the plan, the output is not going to be 4. Maybe it's 20. If it is 20, it's going to definitely shed something to the back.
Okay.
If the lighting engineer can check that and provide some feedback, like I said, thank you.
No problem.
I just wanted to add, to the operation hours. I did see that in the cover letter, from the December submission, but I think the chair has the same confusion that I did, which it was never explicitly stated that the drive-through will also operate at those hours. It just says Popeyes generally will operate.
Okay, it's because it was both, so I'll make
But we
that.
need it to be explicitly stated since we're talking about amplification after certain hours and that's
Yeah.
specific to the drive-through. I mean, we just need that to be so explicit because that's the, that's the crux of the matter here. So if you could just make it very clear that the drive-through hours are the same or.
No problem. So with the striping and the stop sign and all that, we added a stop sign. If you can see, that was bubbled, and that is what we thought would take care of that comment. But I guess you're saying you also want to make sure that there's a stop bar that's painted
That's
on Northern Boulevard.
asked that a stop bar be aligned with the building wall fronting Northern Boulevard.
Yeah. So, David, I don't know if you, I mean, we can look at the pictures, but I guess just have to check if you have a stop bar there and put that, and do you understand what they're saying with that? They want to
Try to
stripe.
minimize pedestrian conflict. No?
Is there any specs of the stop bar?
Stop bar is just a painted line.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. We can darken it, make it visually, obvious where that is. We can redo that.
Oh, so you already have one though?
I thought we might have.
Yeah,
I would have to reconfirm.
okay. I guess we have to look at the pictures. No left turns from the exit sign. I guess something else you'll have to look if you already have that, because some of this I think you thought you already had. Signage. The signage, I heard the comment about, so we took away all the banners as you saw. But I heard the comment that the sheet doesn't correspond with the elevation and that we have to count the the Love That Chicken graphic. So David, we have to just discuss with the architect about also putting in the Love That Chicken graphic that's on your building.
And that falls under signage or a banner?
I guess that is what they're
Yeah,
saying,
okay.
right? Correct? You
Yeah,
consider
that
that a
falls under
sign?
signage.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, I mean, last I checked, I think you're well under the required or the maximum for non-illuminated, so I think it's just a matter of including it.
The
Understood, but
Yeah. The 18, the cars, I don't know if I said this one, but the 18-foot cars, I think you're correct that it was kind of this has been out a while, so it was talked about back and forth in other hearings, and we can fix it so that it's 10 cars that are 18 feet long.
Okay, and the cars are scaled different sizes on the plan.
Yeah, I see that.
I think let's just make them all the same 18-foot cars.
Yeah, and I think that, this one, so they all have to be this last one, cars 8 and 10 is 6 by 18.
I just received a note from the chair.
Yeah.
Stop bar would be set back to where the building starts. So vehicles exiting the drive-through queue will stop to let people enter and exit the building.
So like, right, like.
No, I think on the other side,
Okay.
right? That would be what I'm
That's what I.
assuming.
Okay, so David, here, you probably can't, I don't know if you can see it, but
yeah, I'm looking right at it.
that's where the stop bar was.
Before the building ends, correct?
Yeah, I think you pick up your food. I mean,
Well, right, set back from where the building starts.
Where it starts, got it. Yeah, right. I will confirm that.
Okay. Where is the comments? Okay, Commissioner Sheta, apologies for not fixing the LSC versus LNO in the statement. That's an easy fix. And then we heard dimension, or the ordering station to the rear property line. You want to know how far it is. No problem. And then put in a crosswalk for an accessible pathway to the store. So David, that's another thing I think we're gonna have to figure out with the architect is where to put in an accessible pathway so it's safer for pedestrians.
and particularly from your accessible parking spot. Because
Yeah.
right now, it's unclear how they get from their spot to a curb cut effectively to get onto the elevated walkway to go into the store.
Okay. And then the seeker comments, Tracy, I heard the first comment about checking, and then we added in the cover letter a thing about air quality into the statement of facts, but I guess I can speak to you after about what else you're looking for. But there was
Okay, I'll check.
that was
see if-
added to the statement of facts. Just gonna make sure. Did I miss anybody's comments?
I mean, I just want to add that I think when you put in the 18-foot cars, your car 10 is likely going to be problematically in the lane of travel.
Mm-hmm.
And so this may constitute a redesign of where the queue, or at least the back half of the queue, ends up on this site. Or alternatively, if you can move the pickup window forward, you may be able to fit it all in there, but we're looking for, obviously, the reservoir spaces to be free and clear of any travel lanes for maneuverability for parking or moving through the site.
I think what's a little tricky here too, though, is this, like I said, was a approved case from the board for many decades, which has kind of changed the way they're reviewing this. So we're also trying to compromise, not like, the site was laid out per board approval. And I know we brought it back under the new law because it had changed. So it's like a new case, but it's sort of kind of at the same time a renewal of a application that has been in front of your board for a really long time.
I mean, I appreciate that, but we're still not going to approve something that doesn't work, right? So we need to make sure that it works based on how we review the cases now.
Hi, this is also, sorry for interrupting. This is Associate Counsel Velas. I just want to note that even if it were a renewal under the prior section, the current board always has full discretion to even deny the application if they wanted. So they can also modify findings, conditions as they wish. And I also just want to note, going back to this sign thing, just want to suggest another review of the definition of sign under section 12-10 of the zoning resolution. And to note that it includes any writing, pictorial representation, emblem, flag, or other figure of similar character, including, quote, painted on a building or other structure.
No problem. We were going to add it. Understood.
At least I reviewed the air quality. That was the one I was looking at, that statement, but usually there's also a statement like comparing like the seeker thresholds, like no new seeker traffic because it's been existing. So I think you've done it before, but I could send you an example.
Okay, I thought that was taken from one of those, but if it's not, I'll revise it, or I'll talk to you about how to revise it.
Unless I'm looking at the wrong version. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Elise, I just wanted to make a call out and just get your advice, but given this is going in regards to the stack, obviously this is the drawing, you know, with the location is operating and the stack would never reach this amount. I don't know if it'd be helpful to take real world examples and data of, you know, how many cars do we have in a stack that we can provide to the board, if that would be helpful, because this is a drawing, right? But we also have real data that can show what the stack is at any given time or at the most peak hours to show that it never reaches this much. You know, I wish it did. As a business owner, I wish it had this much volume that would, you know, have this many cars at the drive-through all at the same time. But obviously, that's not the case, given the sales volume and things like that. Would it be advisable to present that to the board, and would it be helpful?
You could submit what you believe is in the best interest of your case, but we have to, you know, you've heard the commissioner's concerns and about meeting the findings. And I think you should address that as best as you possibly can.
Yeah, Mr. Norsar, it's a very explicit finding that all drive-throughs for eating and drinking establishments need to have a reservoir capacity of 10 cars. So that would be across the board. Obviously, we see a wide variety of different types of drive-throughs. And so we do have that as a mandatory finding for this permit.
Of course. Yeah, and we have experience with new builds. You know, this is kind of a different one. This is a renewal, so I understand new builds.
Yes,
It's very difficult, but
it's a threshold.
understood.
You know, this is a threshold issue. We can't really negotiate that line.
Understood.
For this permit. Anything else from any commissioners? Anyone at BSA staff? Then I ask that we go to the public.
The case that we're currently discussing is 2025-06BZ, 8802 Northern Boulevard, Queens. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the WebRNA number, 161-542-0511 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized in any forum, you will have 3 minutes in which to comment on this application. Ms. Fuller, how much time will you need to make the corrections?
David, what do you think? Because we have to do a few things. And including you have to do some striping, so. I know the weather.
I would. I would say, weather permitting, with the striping, conservatively speaking, to give a good time frame, maybe a month.
Okay. So I guess a month, it's to make sure people can paint and stuff like that.
Did we lose him?
Do you not see us?
Thank you, Ms. Folder.
What did he say?
Okay.
A month.
A month? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
New cases on the zoning calendar. Item number 18, 2025-29 BZ, 350 Troy Avenue, also known as 1505, 1513 Carroll Street, Brooklyn. This is Mush. Lynn Friedman. And I don't know who else.
Amber Cartalian will be needed.
She's not in the room. Oh, there she is. She's in-
Okay.
I know, if they start, when they come to the screen.
We got two Ambers now.
Mm.
Yeah, we are.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Your team, how are you? Where's, who else is with your team besides Miss Catalin?
The Rabbi Plotkin should be there.
Say again, Reverend,
Rabbi Plotkin.
sorry, Rabbi Plotkin, let him in. And who else?
And Amber.
And Amber. Well, Amber's in already.
Okay.
Wait, Rabbi.
That's it.
Okay, we'll wait for the rabbi and then we can swear you in. Maybe proceed without him or for a while, or does he need to?
Him there?
I don't know, might be having trouble. You know? I don't see him. Do you see him?
He's got to join.
I just added him as a panelist. Levi Plotkin.
Correct.
Yeah, and there's two actually.
Okay, here's coming.
Hello?
Yes, hi. Could you unmute and put your video on, camera on?
They're on from my end. I don't know if you.
Does everybody have a problem with the cameras today?
Second.
Yes. There he is.
Welcome. Okay, everyone ready? Do you raise your right hands? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes.
Sure, yes.
State your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Okay. Maurice Moshe Friedman. I am the applicant and the engineer on this job, and my wife,
Lynn Friedman.
Lynn Friedman. We listened to the review session this morning, and thank you very much for the comments, and sorry for some of the typos. In regard with something that the chair had left in her notes, the rendering was already updated with the fire department set that the fire department approved. So the fence is no longer at in the front on the side. If you look at the last page of the last set that was given. Also, there was a question about sound amplification on the roof. What page number?
It's on the roof plan.
23. The last note on the right side says there shall be no sound. I can't see
Sound
it.
amplification.
Yeah, one sec. There shall be no sound amplification devices. So that was already taken care of. Also, Commissioner, we will take care of the pictures. We'll take out the background shading so that it'll look, we tried, everybody likes something else, but we'll take out the background shading so that it's a little bit nicer. And again, so the fire department approved, we took care of that within 24 hours of receiving the letter from the fire department. We're trying to keep this thing moving along. We will create plans showing the waivers. I don't think it would be smart to put them on top of these plans because they're busy enough, but I will create blocks that show, like key plans that show what the waivers are, separate plans. I think it'll be clearer for everybody involved. And we'll update the statement facts and findings again, any of the typos that are in there and fix the inconsistencies. As regard to the adjacent lot next door, we did answer it in the NOC. It doesn't belong to us. The easement doesn't even come up next to the lot line, our common lot line. We have nothing to do with that lot, and it's not going to impact the easement at all.
Okay.
And we'll put that into, again, the statement of facts. I believe that's where it should go to make sure that it's very clear. Gym equipment, any gym equipment or playground equipment that's on the roof will be, if you look at the roof plan, again, which there are the white boxes, which are not in the spaces of fire department access. Okay, so any play area equipment will go in those white spaces and not impact fire department access. And of course, if the fire department has anything to say, we will take care of it.
Sorry, can I interrupt really quickly?
Sure.
The chair isn't here to speak for her comment, but perhaps rather than creating a separate diagram for the existing waivers from the prior grant, you can use the existing plans which don't have any hatching overlaid currently and do a similar kind of light hatch. And that way, the thing about a separate diagram is that it can be hard for us to understand where in the interior that line occurs if it's a key plan, if you understand what I mean.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so if you can show it on the existing plan set, then maybe it's consistent graphically with what you've done already on the proposed plan set.
Okay, not a problem. We're trying to make it visually for everybody. So whatever the board would like, we'll take care of it. And the massing diagram, I think we will give it out to show the massing in the neighborhood and the massing so that you see what's going on. And we'll take care of that also. And at this point in time, I believe Amber has to answer some questions, and then we'll have Rabbi Plotkin speak.
Hi everyone, Amber Cartalian with GZA Geo-Environmental. I prepared the environmental assessment. I listened to the review comments, and I just wanted to address the main item that I heard brought up, which was related to the school busing and existing and proposed signage for pickup and drop off. So currently the school has 3 total yellow school buses. And when we evaluated traffic, we basically looked at that incremental student population and based on surveys of existing students, how they would arrive to school and depart from school. And we identified the need for 2 additional yellow school buses to accommodate that increased enrollment. And with that, we did have discussions with Rabbi Plotkin, who's on this call, and informed him of the need for the 2 additional school buses. And it's his determination that currently they own the school buses, which is why they're parked along the frontage. With this additional need, he would be basically hiring a third party to handle all the busing of students. So we would not see a condition anymore of any buses parked along the frontage of the school. And with that, also related to the signage, is we do currently have no standing school days signage along both frontages. However, the hours don't match. So on one frontage, it's 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. On another, it's 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And there's a small portion along Troy where the no standing for school days doesn't extend the full frontage. Where there's a small portion nearest Carroll where there's no parking Monday through Thursday for street cleaning. So the intent was to normalize the signage so that it's the same hours that it covers for no standing school days and that it extends the full frontage along both. So it's a small modification, but that was the intent in the proposal for the signage changes.
The garbage, we were going to speak
Oh,
about.
right. And we can put this in writing as well, but I know there was a comment raised about trash pickup and drop off. I just wanted to clarify that would not be occurring during school arrival or departure hours.
Okay. At this point, I think we're going to introduce the Rabbi Plotkin, who is the dean and founder of the school and is an integral part of the Chabad community in Crown Heights. And he's going to give a little bit of explanation of the goals of the school and what's going on.
Before he
Before
starts,
we-
could I just ask a question? I don't know if you had answered this or if you would like the rabbi to answer it, but I did have a question about your program and how you go from the large number of preschool students down to only 24 students per grade, and whether or not you're going to grow the elementary school student classes, or do these other students, the preschool students, leave and go elsewhere?
Okay, so I am going to really let Rabbi Plotkin answer this, but you have to understand the Chabad community. The Chabad community really has a mandate to go out all over the world. There's an expression, any place in the world, you can get Coca-Cola and a Chabad house. You can go any place in the world. So many of the younger families are going out and they are what they call shluchim. And so therefore, the preschool has a lot of people, but later on, they have less people. But Rabbi Plotkin will speak more on this. Rabbi Plotkin?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you all for your time and looking into our application, and we appreciate your input and concerns. I want to just begin. Today happened to be the anniversary of the passing of the first Chabad rabbi, the author of the Tanya, and our entire community here in Crown Heights is the Chabad World Headquarters. He passed away 213 years ago. So I think it's important to know the background of the school, why we're here, and what our community is all about. And I think that will answer a lot of the questions in terms of the demographics and the different age components, etc. So as Mr. Freeman just said, Chabad is a very active outreach movement within Orthodox Judaism and Hasidic Judaism. In a couple of weeks from now, actually, there's going to be a convention in Crown Heights. There just was a convention a couple of weeks ago for all, it's hard for households to come together. So the rabbis, the fathers, the husbands had their own convention. There were 6,000 rabbis that came. Every year we have that from all over the world, international, Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, and of course the United States. And in a few weeks from now, there's going to be another convention of all the co-directors of all the Chabad locations, and that's all the wives and mothers of Chabad families. So just to share with you a little bit from my own personal life, and just to get a bit of a from the micro to the macro. So I have 3 married daughters, and 2 of them do not live in Crown Heights. 2 of them, if they were to be in Crown Heights, their children would be in Beis Chai and Mushka. But my daughter that just called and said she's coming in for this convention, she has Kanai Hara, as they say in Yiddish, it should only be a blessing when we talk about when we count blessings. But she has 4 youngsters, and they decided this past summer that they are leaving Crown Heights, leaving family, going to Portland, Oregon, and my daughter and her husband are the co-directors running a preschool and a school in Portland, Oregon. So, and my other daughter is in New Orleans, Louisiana, and she's there with her husband and two children, and their children are in the daycare there. My point is sharing this is not atypical. This is very typical in Crown Heights. So we have a lot of families that when they get married, this is their base. They stay here for a couple of years, and then if they're following the direction of outreach, they're going to be finding a place on the globe where they join or create or join a Chabad location, and they raise their families there, and they create communities and community centers wherever they are. So that automatically leads to the reality that although our community is growing, and Crown Heights, those that live in Crown Heights is growing, and there is growth here, which is why our school itself also has shown this growth, but there is a very big chunk of the population of young families that doesn't stay in Crown Heights. So you will have more of a preschool representation in the school slots or educational system that do not stay going forward.
Thank you.
Additionally,
That was a really great explanation of that. I did see a hand up from Ms. Pregna.
My question is for Amber, so after
Okay,
the rabbi finishes, maybe we can go back to it. Thank you.
please continue, Rabbi.
okay. Additionally, in our school, I'm going to get to the specific subculture within our Chabad community that our school is here to cater to. But we do have in our younger grades, we do have a mixture of boys and girls. As they get to the older grades, it's a girl-only school. In our community, all the schools are not co-ed, except for in the youngest, ages in the younger preschool. So automatically, once they reach the three a little more than 3 years old, the boys move on to which is basically half. I can't give an exact statistics, but boys and girls are usually very close to the equal share, 50% each of the population. So we have close to half of our population that is here for when the boys are here for as long as until they're a little over 3, and then they move on to the boys' schools. Additionally, regarding the girls and the families that still stay here. So one of the novelties in our school, I'm calling it a novelty, but really it's a restoration of something that's been around for a long time, but unfortunately has faded away, and it's not really a novelty. It's more like bringing back the glory of the past. Is the language of Yiddish. So up until the Holocaust, the majority of Jews worldwide, although fluent in Hebrew, and our prayers are in Hebrew, and a lot of our textbooks are in Hebrew, starting from the Bible to the Talmud, but the spoken language and even written language correspondence has been the language of Yiddish, which is a dialect of German and some other East European languages. Unfortunately, Yiddish is what they call I don't want to call it an extinct species, but it's really it's not that common anymore. Our Chabad rabbis, every one of them, all their textbooks have been written in Hebrew, but their discourses, whenever they spoke, and there are recordings, whether written notes or even actual audio and video recordings, all the spoken communications is in Yiddish. And the teachings of our rabbis is central and vital in maintaining the culture and traditions of our community, which is why there's a very strong interest, not a very strong ability, but a strong interest in maintaining and passing on Yiddish to the next generation. So just to give an example, which is something we share with our staff and our teachers, just to keep them encouraged and coached in the necessity for this. Our school is called Beis Chaya Mushka, the home of Chaya Mushka, which is named after our current Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. His wife, her name was Chaya Mushka, and the school is named after her. So you'll cut me I don't have a lot to say. I think I'll be done in a couple minutes, but if I'm going over time, please, just tell me. But I'm going to add a few things that I think that will spice up a little bit and give more of an appreciation of where we're coming from. So Rebbetzin Chaimushka, that's her title, Rebbetzin, the wife of the Rebbe. She had met a young couple that was about to get married, and when she knew the family of the bride, because her father was a doctor in the community, and when she heard from the bride the name of who the groom is, she said, "I'm very happy because now I know that you're going to speak Yiddish to your children." Because she knew that the groom came from a family that spoke Yiddish at home, which a lot of families since Chabad moved to America after the Holocaust, a lot of families and people that joined our movement did not have the Yiddish. So she was happy. She said that your children will speak you will speak in Yiddish to your children. The prophetic part of what she said was that this couple for many years, I think close to 20 years, did not have children. And they always believed, and they said, we know we're going to have children because the Rebbetzin told us you're going to speak Yiddish to your children. And there's a whole interview with her where, the miracle happened and they eventually had children and they spoke Yiddish to their children. So Yiddish is a very important thing in our community, and we're called Beis Chaimushka. It's something we're very proud of. So it's a second language. Of course, our general studies are in English, but our Judaic studies, we give our students, especially in the preschool, we give them an immersion of Yiddish. So they have a very strong second language. Those that don't have it at home, at home they may be speaking English, or if they're from any of the other international locations, whether it's French, Spanish, Russian, Polish, or Hebrew, or any of the other languages. But there's a strong second language that we give them, and we give them mainly in preschool because that's when they can get it in an immersion, and it doesn't distract so much from the emphasis on direct education. For that reason, a lot of families in Crown Heights, it's not just the Yiddish, but the Yiddish is like sort of it encapsulates a lot that goes with the Yiddish. It's not just a language. There's a culture, and there's nuances, and there's a lot of our traditions that the richness of it comes out through and with the language of Yiddish. So a lot of the families in our community, they want their children to have a strong foundation in Yiddish. And even families that have children, older children in other schools, and we're not the newest school in Crown Heights. We're over 25 years, but there's other, the flagship school has been in our community, a couple thousand students for over 70, close to 80 years. And that's the biggest school. So even parents that want to send their children to the other schools because they learn there and their parents learn there, or for any other reasons, maybe it's closer to where they live. But they want to give their children the opportunity to have this strong immersion in Yiddish. So we are catering to a need, both in terms of the culture of what our community, what everyone in the community wants, and also in terms of availability. As the community grew, there were more schools that were created, as I said, and maybe smaller schools. But the bigger schools do not have the same amount of available space for preschool. So both because we had more space to give, and because of what they offer, so the combination is the quality and the quantity that people really want to send their children to our school. If they're boys, once they turn 3, they will continue in the boys' schools, and if they're girls, depending if they really want to hold on, we have Yiddish throughout from preschool all the way to the top, I've up until like 2 years ago, I've given a class once a week in Talmud to our 12th graders. And I would speak to them in Yiddish, and they would ask me questions in Yiddish. So we go all the way to the top.
So can I just break in here, Rabbi?
Yeah.
What I'm looking for in an answer from you, and perhaps you could just confirm this, is that while you may have 128 4-year-olds, half of those are boys, and they will be gone. The other half that might remain, understand that there is a hard cap of 26 students for your kindergarten and then going forward. And so they will have to go elsewhere, whether they move out of the city or just go to another school, but that you as the rabbi and director of the school are not going to slowly expand the kindergarten class, then pre-1A, then grades 1 to 12 to absorb the remaining 40 young people, so that you will then come to us within 2 or 3 years and say, no, we don't have 851 students, we have 1,251 students, because now we have 60 students in kindergarten, 60 students in pre-1A, and 60 students grade 1 through 12. That's what I'm looking to find out. Are you imposing a hard cap on your class size from kindergarten to grade 12, or is this open for growth?
No, there is a hard cap, and to use the term you used in the previous session, I think you said a choke or a potential choke or something like that.
A potential chokehold, as in you would have a problem because you don't have space to accommodate more than the 26 5-year-olds, but all of a sudden you have 60.
So we don't anticipate that at all. And based on how things have gone till now, as I just explained to you, we know our families, and we know that it is going to be a slight growth up to 26. Not all our classes are 26. We wouldn't want to have classes bigger than that anyways. We don't anticipate to be a need for that. And frankly, even if there was a need, and even if the board would say, sure, we're going to give you now approval for another 3 floors, we would not want to have children beyond the 6th floor anyways. So there's no anticipated need, and we would not be open to that. So if for some unforeseeable reason there's an influx, there'll be another location. But it's not anticipated at all.
And, okay, and I appreciate that last statement that you made. If
Thank you.
Is an influx, then they'll be sent to a different school. So you are making a strong cap at 26, and if that could be incorporated into the statement of facts, so we can clear that issue up. Rabbi, I'm not sure if you had anything else to say, but everything you said I found very interesting. But
I wanted to address something that was raised before. I don't think it was answered yet. And there's a question about the co-location. Someone mentioned that there's different age groups in the same building. So I want to just explain a little bit how we operate and why it's beneficial and necessary for how we operate our schools. So it's not different schools. It's really one school. Besides the fact that it's, the families that stay on, they're here from preschool and they stay on. But the culture of the school and the way the school operates, for example, we have frequent meetings of the preschool director in elementary and the high school and myself on a regular basis. We're all working together on furthering the school's goals and strengthening the school culture and addressing community needs and the school needs. We don't really look on ourselves as different schools. It's all different divisions, different age divisions, but we work very closely together. We have, in terms of our needs and the programmatic needs, we have therapists in our school that helps children with disabilities. They go back and forth between preschool and elementary and even high school in servicing the children they need a service, whether it's a speech therapist or occupational therapist or a counselor. There's a lot of logistics and the way we operate that really makes it much easier in that sense. Of course, from our point of view, administrative, to run the school and have everyone in the same building is much easier than to be broken up. We have a shared kitchen. Everyone eats out of the same kitchen. Our financial office and administrative is that way. And I can't leave out two very vital parts of our educational program of what the benefit is of them being together. So one thing is we have teachers that part of why they're able to go out and teach is because they're not ready to be away. Mothers can appreciate this, in the best way possible. Mothers of young children are hesitant
to do this. We are basically at a quorum right now, and we may lose that quorum. And we have several other cases on. So if you wouldn't mind putting the rest of your statements in writing, that it would assure that the whole board can see it and we can continue to conduct business today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jill, you had a question that you wanted to ask, Ms. Pregna?
Just that in the EAS, yes, there looked like there was some need for 2 additional yellow buses, as Amber stated, with the enlargement, but the statement of facts and findings, both those 2 documents, say there will be 3 more buses. So I just wanted to kind of address the discrepancy. That's all.
Thank you for that, Jella. That might have been a typo. We'll make sure to go back and ensure that the statement of facts and findings and all other materials match.
Are there any other questions or comments from any commissioner or BSA staff?
I just want to withdraw my comments regarding the enrollment. It sounds like there was an error in the calculation, so I looked at the two enrollments in the first 5 years and the upcoming 5 years, and they look like they are comparable.
Let the record
So
note
there is,
that.
there is no need to respond to that.
Okay.
And the only thing I wanted to add about the co-location, thank you, Rabbi, for speaking on that. And I think that while administration and overall school goals and management are not relevant to co-location necessarily, because those things can be done by multiple locations of a school, I do understand the benefits and of the shared resources that we're discussing. So I think that would be the thing to focus on for the Friedmans when you're responding to the co-location argument. Because again, it is not very common for us to see schools of this size that are 0 to 12th grade. So some discussion of that would be helpful. But focusing on those things that are physically required to be in the same space, not administratively, which can actually be done from multiple locations. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Matias, can we go to the public?
Jill? The case we're currently discussing is 2025 29 BZ 350 Troy Avenue, Brooklyn. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, enter the Weber ID number 161-542-0511 and press the pound sign. At the prompt after that, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling it on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already and wish to participate, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to comment on your application. This is my video. Just waiting for the clock to run out. How much time will you need, Mr. Friedman?
You did, okay. Okay. We're gonna need what, 6 weeks? That's enough. 6 weeks.
And while we're waiting, if you've been listening to the other hearings on schools for the Friedmans, our trash kind of policies have been adapting to the DSNY rules about 2 pounds per day per student. Also, containerization, and I think I mentioned this in the hearing, but I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that we're looking for slightly different trash and more detailed trash plans than we had in the past.
So maybe staff can give us what we need and we'll update everything.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Okay, great.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. We'll get back to you with the time frame and stuff, Lynn. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be in contact just to make sure that it doesn't overlap something.
Yeah.
It will not.
Okay. Item number 19, 2025, 37, 38, and 39 BC, 2064 53rd Street, 5302 21st Avenue, 5302 21st Avenue, and 5312 21st Avenue. It should be, Jay Goldstein. I couldn't think of his name for a second, sorry. I know there's some members of the public who also want to speak though.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, Zoom is acting up when you advance us to panelists.
Yeah, everybody's having problems today.
Mm.
Is there anyone with you, Mr. Goldstein?
Just me today.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board, and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Good afternoon, Jay Goldstein for the applicant. We heard the board's comments or reservations. We understand the comments. We filed it this way based on a similar case that we had recently, and with discussions with the executive director and Mr. Vine. So I apologize if there was confusion, but we're happy to merge it into a single application, much the way we do with our other applications, and explain the programmatic needs in one concise statement of fact with one set of plans that shows the interplay for the whole building as a single unit. Because it is proposed that this will be a school for ages, as mentioned, the daycare ages through the 8th grade, with the programmatic needs and the accessory rooms and the learning that we're trying to afford these students by providing a modern building. Commissioner Yoon, I heard your comments with regard to the statement of facts and the plans, and we'll work on that as well to see if there is any change by creating straight lines, most importantly, and the other updates with regard to the recreation space and the room sizes in general. So I don't think there's much more for me to say today, other than we'll file this as we'll amend the application to be a single unit and file it with the standard that we generally have for our applications.
Thank you, Mr. Goldstein. Any questions or comments from anyone?
Only the same comment I had for the last case, which is that the trash protocol is different. And if you've been paying attention to some of the other cases, maybe you are familiar, but if not, project manager can help.
I heard that it's being updated now, so we'll update it accordingly. We followed the traditional route, but we're happy to update it with the board's guidance.
You want to go to the public?
I say we go to the public.
Okay. The case that we're currently discussing is 2025 37, 38, and 39 BZ, 53rd Street, 21st Avenue. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, enter the Weber ID number 161-542-0511 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if you're in Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you're recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to comment on this application.
I just wanted to note that they are working on the EAS, which does look at all three together, all sites, and there's some transportation surveys, noise analysis, air quality, potentially an archaeological study, and phase 1 still coming.
Okay, time ran out. Just one thing, I know that a member of the public called me and said they were attending, I believe Miss Abraham, so unfortunately I don't see her in the room. Okay,
So we should give her notice of the next hearing date.
yeah, she said she was going to speak. She was calling in from the phone, maybe she had some difficulty.
Thank you, Mr. Goldstein.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, how much time? I guess you'll work that out with,
Yeah,
okay. Do you want to go to the next one?
please.
Okay. Item number 2025 40BZ, 2800 Bruckner Boulevard, the Bronx. Oh, gosh. Okay, so it's Vey and Baton. The number with the ending, the telephone with the ending of 4183, are you calling in for this case, Bruckner Boulevard? Yeah, are you calling for the Bruckner Boulevard?
Hello?
Yes, hi, are you calling in for the Bruckner Boulevard case?
No, the one that you just, I just missed the one that you just passed by, the 53rd Street.
Sorry, you can submit your comments to submit@bsa.nyc.gov and include the calendar. I'm sorry, we passed that case. We gave people enough time to call in. Apologies.
I was sitting here watching the whole time, but okay.
We did make a notice to the public. We waited the 3 minutes that we've constituted be sufficient time. I'm sorry you weren't able to speak, but the case is still open and we'll have an adjourned date. I'll have the planner, the case planner manager reach out to you with that adjourned date so you can bring your testimony.
It was not, okay, I understand. It wasn't 3 minutes. I'm still watching 2-3 hours here, but okay.
Sorry about that. We don't have a date yet, but when we do get a date, we will provide you with it. And
If you could call in, the project manager is Miss Morris, Miss Jessica Morris. So you can reach her by phone.
and also you
That was
can
not fair.
submit testimony, written testimony as well.
Thank you.
Sorry. I know we waited. but, Okay.
Good
Hi,
afternoon, Board.
Ms.
I
Baton.
think
Is there
we-
anyone with you, Ms. Baton?
Yes, sorry, can you hear me? We have Stephen Grasso, Taran Balik, Fari Arslan, and Amber should have been on.
Amber said she's calling in because, I don't know, something, maybe she,
Yeah, there's some Zoom issues.
yeah, so she called in.
I will tell you. Her number ends in 35. No, it's not there.
What is it again?
No, she's not in yet.
Oh, yeah, okay. Mr. Arslan is part of your
Apologies
team,
for everyone. Yes,
and anyone else?
just Amber. But I don't want to hold everyone up. I understand. Hopefully she'll be able to join, and then if she joins, you could swear her in. I just don't want to
Okay.
hold the board up.
So let me swear in the people we have. Raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Good afternoon, Board. Thayan Baton from Shell Mobile PC for the applicant. We attended the review session and we have responses to some of those comments. I'll just go through them quickly and then everything else could be done via submission. Question regarding the community board. We did have our land use committee hearing back in October. The community board didn't want to hear us on the full board agenda until after our initial BSA hearing. So we're actually going to be heard at their hearing this Thursday for the full board vote. Regarding the DOB and historical timeline, I just like to know that there was a typo in the statement of facts. It meant to say 2003, not 2023. So I'll make sure that that is corrected. Basically, you know, our client, the applicant, purchased the site in 2025. So what we were trying to do is put the pieces together regarding the existing non-compliances for the building. Okay, Amber just joined as well. You know, we saw on DOB records that there were plan examinations in August and October 2003. And it was approved the plans were supposedly approved in 2003 for the existing building and permits issued in April 2004, all before the effective date of the Throgs Neck rezoning. So we will look to see the DOB records, what was approved, because we understand that there might be some waivers. There might be some legal non-compliances. We're not sure exactly which ones are legal and which are not. So that could impact the as of right plans, but we'll pull DOB records to confirm. Regarding the certificate of occupancy is correct. It was issued for use for nonprofit prior to the applicant's purchase of the site. The use was in illegal or non-conforming commercial use. Since then, and since our statement of facts were submitted back a couple months ago, all the tenants are gone. So it's a vacant building right now, and the school owns the building. And I think Commissioner Shea, you had a question about the BSA history. So there was some history on the site, but it was more about a gas station back in the 30s and 60s, and then there were a few amendments in the 80s. So this was a gas station prior to the building being built in 2003. Sorry, I'm just going through some of the comments. All right, so there was a comment regarding the location of the gym and if we can move it towards Bruckner Boulevard instead of towards the residential. I think moving the gym would actually increase the waiver for the sky exposure plane. And I know that the school and architectural team has tried various outlines, right? Because we wanted to first try this as an as-of-right building, but it's just not feasible to move the gym from its proposed location. But we could provide a rendering. And I think Commissioner Otley Brown, you had asked for the rendering from the rear, and then we could provide that in the next submission.
Is this a regulated size, gym? Like, what is in the plan right now? Is that the minimum regulated size that's required by codes and regulations?
I'll let Stephen.
It's not regulation size. It couldn't be that big.
Okay, so it's even less.
Yes, it's what we could fit. And just to add to the gym was put on the back side of the building because the core of the building with the elevator would have interfered if it went to the front of the building. So we moved it to the rear, which was the only place we could capture a space large enough to have some sort of gymnasium.
That's why I was asking, yes. If you move it to the front, it's gonna interfere with the staircase and you're gonna have lesser dimension. for the-
Right, exactly, significantly less.
Yep, understood.
Regarding the statement of facts, we'll update to reflect any of the comments that were raised at the review session, provide a narrative for the height of the multipurpose room. We'll include more information on the safety plan, and I'll coordinate with Amber GZA to make sure the modal splits, the signage changes, everything related in the recent EAS submitted for is incorporated. I know there was a comment about trash pickup. I'm assuming that was the comment based on all the other cases right now. I don't know. We weren't able to fully hear it, but the trash pickup will be outside of school hours. But was there a specific comment related to the trash?
I think the chair, if I understood the reading of the chair's comments correctly, it was also a comment I had. I just didn't repeat it. But the trash dumpsters seem to be shown outside in the south corner. And we have been requiring that school trash is stored inside in a refrigerated trash room until it's actually ready for curbside pickup. And it needs to be containerized for curbside pickup.
I think we could work on addressing that. Oh, Stephen, you were.
We do have refrigerated storage at the kitchen to not allow it to be out there very long. So it'll be refrigeration off the kitchen we have. Yeah.
I think we'll just make sure it's labeled and clearly noted on the plan.
The refrigerated storage for trash. That will be taken out on the day that it's going to be picked up.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So please.
Okay, we'll make sure it's clearly labeled on the plan set for the next submission.
And this is Amber with GZA. Sorry, I was having issues getting on video, so I'm on the phone. So if I need to be sworn in, I just wanted to clarify a few items related to curb cuts and sound
Let me
attenuation.
swear you in. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board, and to respond honestly to the board member questions?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone, Amber Cartalian with GZA. I listened to the review session. I just wanted to clarify a few items that were raised. The first is related to the two curb cuts. So there's currently two existing curb cuts, one along Swinton and one along Quincy Avenue. The original intent was to keep both of those curb cuts as is. However, we received recent DOT comments on December 19th. And with those comments, there was concerns related to the curb cut, specifically the one along Swinton Avenue, in that it's close to an ingress and egress location for the school, and that it's also not legal in that it's not 50 feet from the nearest intersection. I believe it's about 47 feet. So this hasn't been submitted yet, but in response to those comments, the current proposal is to maintain the existing curb cut along Quincy Avenue, which would serve 3 total off-street parking stalls, one of which is ADA, and the other 2 would be designated for school administrators, and then close the curb cut along Swinton and restore it to full height curb and sidewalks. I just wanted to clarify that. Related to sound attenuation and the impact on the residential neighbors raised by Commissioner Sheta. So our analysis for noise was strictly related to the required attenuation for the school building associated with surrounding roadway traffic. Because there's not any outdoor play areas or outdoor areas where children would be creating noise or impacts on surrounding residences, it wasn't evaluated because it's not a condition that is expected here.
My
And
concern.
then the last, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's like close to the residential. And if you're gonna have windows for the gym, or it's gonna be like an operable window there, it might like shed some noise to the adjacent residential. I'm not sure if you looked at that.
I see. Stephen, do you know if those windows
Sorry, the cafeteria is
associated with the
The new windows have the rating, an OITC rating that they needed to be rated, so they're definitely rated for that sound.
I think what we've typically seen also on houses of worship and other schools that are adjacent to nearby residential is that those windows that are facing the nearby residential are inoperable. And if needed, there's an alternate means of ventilation.
We can look into that. We will be providing an alternate means of ventilation, so we can look at the windows, specifically the ones to the rear. We'll respond to that in writing.
Would not be windows you could see through while light could still come in through them.
We'll take a look at that and respond to that in writing, if that's okay.
Two sets of windows, one that's on the ground floor or the cafeteria, and then the one that's on the third floor for the gym. So, yeah, if you can look at these two sets and do that. The reason I raised this because I didn't, in the statement of facts, it doesn't talk about any sound attenuation along that property line. It just talks about the attenuation along the street frontages. So I was like, oh, we have windows here, and if these windows are open, especially for the gym, and you have crowd inside and there is a game or something, it's gonna be definitely it's gonna be some noise traveling across to the adjacent residential. So that
Yeah, I understand that concern, that sentiment. I think I was looking at this solely from a seeker perspective, and I wasn't thinking about that. So I'm glad you raised that, and we will look at that
Thank you.
and get back.
Also, if
And then oh, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't know the history of the site, and I just learned that it was like some BSA history, and the site was used as a gas station. If you can look into the history and see if there was like any spills, any cleanups, we want to make sure that, especially this building is built and was non-complying according to the statement. So we just want to make sure that the site is cleaned if there was any spills in the history.
We did look into that. And the historical gasoline station, the operations associated with that, we did a phase 1 and we did a FOIL request. Those were all of the operations associated with that were closed and resolved to the satisfaction of DEC.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yep. And just the last clarifying item real quick was the question from Commissioner Yoon related to busing and whether it's only for 6th grade use. And I just wanted to clarify that is the case. 7th and 8th graders would not be utilizing yellow buses.
Is that typical? Is that just specific to this school?
It's typical. It's typical. I've worked on many schools, and it's typical of most schools. There's certain schools that I've seen where that has come up, but it's very few and far between. It's standard practice that it's 6th grade and below.
I think it's linked to Department of Education regulations about providing school bus service.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from commissioners or PSA staff? Is there anything else the applicant, do you want to say anything else?
No, we thank you for your time. We will address in our next submission.
Well, let's go to the
comments.
public first.
Yeah.
Ms. Matias?
Yeah.
So the case we are currently discussing is 2025 40BZ, 2800 Buckner Boulevard, the Bronx. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the webinar ID number 161-542-0511 and, and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you call on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you're recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to comment.
One thing I wanted to comment on is the vice chair mentioned that we often look for not only inoperable windows, but ones that are translucent. In cases like this, I am not a huge fan of the translucent windows if they're not needed for privacy specifically, because I think if a kid's playing in a gym, it's nice to look outside. But I think, at least from what I understand, it's a matter of privacy of the neighbors, right? We
Right.
don't want a bunch of people massed in a multi-purpose room looking into the residence
Right.
next door. And so I think that's just for the architecture team. If you're responding to these comments, that's really the problem that we're trying to solve for. And it's not to like block all visibility of things for the students. It's more just to protect the residents nearby.
The privacy of their neighbors.
The privacy of their neighbors, yeah.
Understood, and we'll look into that.
Yeah, I don't see any hands. Nobody call them. Okay. How much time do you need?
I know that seeker's still pending. I think we're making a submission shortly for DOT and DEP. We'll just, for the other, Stephen, how long would it take if we needed to get DOB information for the prior approval?
I'm sorry, we can't hear you too well. Can you repeat that?
Sorry, would a submission in a couple weeks, maybe in 4 weeks be okay? 3 to 4 weeks?
I heard you say DOB, so what was the question? I'm
If
sorry.
we could get plans from DOB for if we want to look at the approved, just because we have to determine the non-compliance issue.
The approved drawings of what was built before? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I think we looked for them already. We put in applications into the DOB and nothing came up.
Miss Morris has her hand up. Jessica?
Ms. Morris?
So I think, thank you. In internal discussion, we were looking specifically for a ZD1 diagram from when that new building was filed. So if that's something that can be found and submitted, I think that would provide the clarity that the board is looking for regarding the legality of the noncompliance.
Yeah, I'm sure we did searches for everything and nothing came up, even though I think it was 2003. I think there were some there might have been a couple of mechanical drawings. Very little bit came up. We couldn't find virtually anything. Even on the BSA previous approval, which is still very vague, we couldn't find any information.
We'll continue to search. I think a month, but can we confirm with staff regarding the submission date?
Did you hear that?
Yes, Ms. Baton, this is Carlo. Yeah, we will reach out like in a day or to set a schedule so you could speak to your team and just give yourself time accordingly.
Perfect, thank you. Understanding that there's environmental, is it possible to close pending
No.
seeker?
I don't think we're ready to close. Do I have commissioners? How do you feel about that?
I think we still need a detailed traffic analysis,
Yeah.
and there's a few things outstanding.
No, I don't. But good try.
Had to try.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Okay. Item number 21, 2025 41BZ, 13802 Hillside Avenue, Queens. Yeah. Everyone who's part of the team, please raise their hand so we can let them in. This is all the team. Is everyone in?
Everybody's here. Thank you.
Okay, everyone on mute. I'm going to swear you in. Ms. Bodine, Ms. Brutchell, let me make sure 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the. Oh, is Dana Fedorukova part of your team? Okay.
Yes, she is. Although I don't think she'll need to testify.
Okay, so then proceed, Ms.
Thank you, Jennifer Mazaway from the Law Office of K&L Gates. Thank you to the board. We were listening this morning to comments. This is regarding 138-02 Hillside Avenue in Jamaica, Queens, located at the southeast corner of Hillside Avenue and 138th Street. As the board knows, we're seeking a special permit to permit an accessory drive-through for an as-of-right use group 6 eating and drinking establishment. We've heard the comments from this morning, and I can respond to several of them, and I have team members here also that may be able to respond to others. We'll also aim to do a resubmission as a result of some of those comments. But with regard to the community board, at the time we resubmitted to BSA at the end of December, we had not yet heard from the community board, but since our submission, we have. And we are scheduled to appear before the Queens Community Board 12 Land Use Committee on February 3rd, and thereafter the full board on February 19th. So that is follow-up to that. There were some comments from the chair with regard to some notes on the plans. I believe that some of those notes actually already exist. I heard width of the curb cuts and right turn only signs and details of the trash enclosures, all of which I believe were on our resubmission at the end of December, but we'll ensure that they are on our next submission to the extent that they were not there. With regard to the 4-foot high fence that the chair would like to see along 138th Street and onto Hillside Avenue, we have no objection to that. It is similar to what has been requested of Raising Cane's with regard to its Kingsbridge site. And so we will amend the plans to provide for that fence.
Minimum of 4 feet high.
Correct.
Okay.
There was a question as to whether there were designated spaces for mobile pickup. There are not, but if that is something that the chair or other members of the board would like, I believe we would be able to demarcate one of the spaces, but as of now, it's not. We do not have a designated space for mobile pickup. We will add a note to the plans with regard to no vehicles blocking the sidewalk. And then there were a number of questions with regard to the traffic assessment that was submitted and some comparison to the Merrick Boulevard site, which was a recently approved site from the BSA. We will update our traffic report and just make some of those points clearer in the traffic assessment. We did, in fact, study the adjacent restaurant with drive-through. We'll make clear in some of our findings in that assessment.
I just want to step back. I want to hear how the commissioners feel. Do we feel that we want a mobile parking app location?
I feel like that's a business decision.
Okay. Commissioner Otley Brown, do you have any opinion on that?
I would defer to the property owners and developers rather the company that's leasing it, whether they think this is within their business model or not.
Okay. Please continue.
Thank you. So we will update our traffic assessment and make clear some of the assumptions that were used, and in particular with regard to the study that we did of the local another local restaurant with drive-through to get some of the assumptions, in particular the percentages of customers that we expect to arrive on foot and provide more of a justification as to how we came to those numbers. In addition to the modal splits, which was another question, and our peak drive-through analysis. So we'll update our plan, our assessment to make sure that we call out those items that the chair mentioned. With regard to the fencing and the wall, and there were a few comments about this. We will remove the chain link fence and we will instead install an Acousti-Block wall, which will be both, I think, more attractive and also provide the necessary sound screening that the board is looking for. I do want to stay on the issue of the brick wall for a moment. There were questions about the existence of that brick wall. And if the board would allow, I can share my screen and bring up a photo so that I can better explain the existence of that brick wall. So this is actually it serves as a retaining wall between the adjacent residential property and the proposed Raising Cane's property. So we do believe we should be and will be maintaining this brick wall. And in place of the chain link fence, we will be doing that Acousti-Block fence instead. And hopefully that answers that concern.
I would like advise you that based on, this is the first time I see this picture, that differential in the elevation between the two sides. I would advise you to reach to your engineer if you have an engineer and have him make sure that if you're gonna have cars parking or driving next to that wall, that this wall is strong enough to take the differential in the ground elevation, in addition to that loading that's coming from the car driving or parking by that wall.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I will have our engineer confirm that as part of, and we'll also submit that photo in our resubmission as well so that the board has that. And to Commissioner Shetta's points earlier, we will have a few additional photos taken that are closer. I think that was one of Commissioner Shetta's comments as well. So we will submit some of the additional photos with our resubmission as well.
And you don't have any objection to removing the barbed wire and not replacing it?
Correct, we do not.
Okay.
We will also, increase the landscaping that is proposed and the barbed wire will be removed. Yes, that's correct, Commissioner. We did not receive the opposition letters. They were mentioned during this morning's session. If those could be sent to us, we would appreciate it. So we would have an opportunity to take a look at those and respond if required. And then we will update the statement of facts to include additional information with regard to a finding that we do not impact negatively the privacy, the light, or air of the adjoining properties. With regard to sound, as indicated, the menu board has been is positioned away from the residential purposefully, I think to reduce that sound and to ensure that would not be an issue. We do have signage that encourages patrons to lower their radios. We will ensure, to the commissioner's point this morning, that that we place them closer to the front of the queue, the drive-through queue, as they're coming into the drive-through, as opposed to once they're more into the site. And we will dimension the typical length of car spaces in the queue. And I think Ms. Beneke this morning asked that when we resubmit, we include our EAS, we include the menu board figure, and we will do that as well. I think I got everybody's comments there, but
And the violations, please. If there is any violation or violations, please indicate that in the statement. Even if nothing, just say in the statement that nothing. And
Okay.
there was like a comment for myself. In the statement, when you're addressing the findings, talking about the noise, it says below, but when we read below, there is no below. There is no explanation, there is no argument. So please take care of that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from any commissioner? Is there anything that you'd like to say? Would the application team like to say anything further at this moment?
I think I'm done, but I'll just take a quick gander over at my team. Melissa or folks, anything? Nope, I think we're okay right now, Vice Chair. Thank you.
Then I ask that we open this up to the public.
The case that we're currently discussing, 2025-41BZ, 13802 Hillside Avenue, Queens. Excuse me. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the Weber ID number 161-542-0511 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you will press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hands at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you're recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to comment. I have to wait for the clock to run out. Oh. Okay, no one has raised their hands or called in. Do we know how much time she's asking, or do you want to figure out what the?
Do you know how much time you need to respond?
Rebecca and Nicole, would 4 weeks be enough?
Yeah, on our end, that sounds fair. I do ask that we get the specific language for spillover into the right of way. I know that came up earlier in hearings. Just want to make sure that we get that correct.
For the DOT?
I think that, yeah, the project manager should be able to send what the chair is looking for, as well as the objection letters that you referenced from the community.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, and if we're given 4 weeks, that'll also, that should be enough time for us to, well, we're meeting with the community board in 5 weeks.
Okay.
So,
We'll arrange a hearing date offline. Thank you so much.
okay, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
This concludes the public hearing for January 13th, 2026. Those who were not able to comment can send your comments to submit at bsa.nyc.gov. This ends the public hearing. Thank you one and all for attending.